This episode is brought to you by Farm Bureau Financial Services, Zach Miller Agency. If you're looking for an insurance agent with a personal touch, someone willing to have the real conversations about what's important to you, assistance with submitting claims, and offering quality coverage options, Farm Bureau Financial Services, Zach Miller Agency may be the place for you. Whether you need home, auto, farm, commercial, life, or health insurance, we're here for you. Check us out at agentzachmiller.com. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agriculture Insurance Company.
Welcome back to another episode of Touching Base. I'm Zach Miller, joined by my co-host Vance Neidig, and we're thrilled to introduce Troy Uhlir, an exceptional entrepreneur, philanthropist, and county commissioner whose dedication and heart has taken him from Burger Boy to Burger King.
Yes.
Troy,
Thanks,
welcome
guys.
to the show.
Thanks, guys.
How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm ready to have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. I've been wanting to get you on for a while and just had never really reached out, and you were quick to...
Well, yeah, because that kind of shows you I've been watching your podcast and I want to be on here.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Wait,
guys
what
have
the hell's
fun.
taking you so long?
Yeah, it's like, God dang, Zach doesn't like me.
That's not the case, I promise.
Okay.
It's been a wild ride. I get people have said that a lot. They're like, "Well, finally, you asked me." But let's kind of get into it. We kind of want to start from the beginning a little bit. You know, were you born and raised here in town, or where?
No. Actually, I was born in Yankton, South Dakota.
Okay.
My family lived in Niobrara and grew up there till 1979. And my dad probably raised hogs 75 to 79. And so grew up on a farm. My grandparents farmed up there. My other grandparents on my mom's side, the Greens, had a cafe up there, Cafe Steakhouse, that they actually started down in the old town. And I witnessed moving out, when Niobrara moved up the hill, they moved out at Greens Cafe and Steakhouse up there, built a new restaurant. And in 1970, late 78, early 79, market was not good for hogs. Interest rates were high. Dad had an SBA loan. Ended up losing what was my great-grandpa's homestead because they had put that up as collateral for this 100 head farrow to finish operation. And looking back, I mean, I grew up, of course, in Battle Creek and was in FFA, and I was fortunate to have friends that had farms that I could hang out on. I was in agribusiness through FFA. But looking back as I got older, I wish we'd have been older to be able to help him.
Right.
Because he was way in over his head. And there was, even then when I was 8, 9 years old, I was down pulling pigs and
right,
doing
trying
all
to
that
help
stuff.
out as much as you could.
So in 79, we moved to Battle Creek. The family, I was young. But as I remember, kind of looked at the different communities around Norfolk. They knew they wanted to be in that area. My dad had gotten a job at the pork plant in Madison. So he went from raising them to splitting them in two. So
Yeah, right.
he ran the split saw at the pork plant. And my mom got a night assistant manager's job with Burger King. So Battle Creek is where we landed. Mom, dad both very huge into sports and knew that Battle Creek had good tradition. So that's where we moved to Battle Creek in 1979. So that's when I kind of made the move into the area. So from there, ended up going to college, graduating, going to college at Nebraska, walked on and played football. Lot of stories. I mean, we can talk football and hindsight's 2020. Of course,
We can definitely do that.
Hindsight's
We
2020.
love good football stories.
And so get down there and I'm playing football and, I'm down there when Steve Taylor's down there, Broderick Thomas, Leroy Etienne and John Marco. And it was amazing just to be on the field. I think the first time I had a pass thrown at me in practice from Steve Taylor, I dropped it right in front of Tom Osborne. It was just in warm-ups, but
right.
I mean, Steve Taylor's throwing me a pass, right? So just an amazing time. But also the realization that it's a business and I'm not what I was in Battle Creek, right?
Right.
Bigger pond.
Oh, bigger pond. And so I was...
You went from the pond to the ocean.
Right. So I played in the Shrine Bowl my senior year. After my senior year, got asked to play, and that was an amazing experience to go to Shriners Hospital and see those kids and what the Shriners do. So we rolled into freshman camp, and Osborne actually come up. So you want to play offense or defense? At this point, they pretty much recruited me as an athlete, right? And I said, well, in my mind, I thought I had a better chance on defense playing corner. And it was the same year they brought Tahan Lewis in, and Tahan ran like a 4.240. And, he was only $150. I'm about 180 in.
Right.
And he could just fly. And I'll never forget. So in practice, we had a freshman team. We were the second to last freshman team that they played out at Nebraska. And they taped every practice, even the freshmen.
Oh, really?
You go from Battle Creek where it's go show up, practice, go home, right?
Right.
Oh, no. So they owned us. I mean, you get up and go to class. You're up at 7, class at 8. Noon, you're done. You go get lunch. You tape. You go work out. Then you hit practice. And film is in there too. And I'll never forget, because it was reel to reel back then. It wasn't the digital stuff they have now. So we'd all kind of be halfway, and the room's dark, so you end up falling asleep. And all of a sudden you'd hear that reel back up. Oh gosh, you look up and see who's up there now, Well, I'd be up there, and it's like I'd be taking the wrong step to open up. Well, then we get to Tahan, and he's doing the same thing I was doing, but guess what? He had 4.2 speed. He's just faster.
He's quicker. He can handle it.
So, and then end up after my freshman year, we had spring ball, and George Darlington calls me in, and he's cutting me. And I'm like, Coach, before you do that, can I go talk to Coach Brown? He was the wingbacks coach.
Yeah.
And he said, absolutely. So we'll help you transfer wherever you want to go. I mean, they're super cool about it.
Right.
But so I go in and talk to Coach Brown and said, hey, can I come over and play wingback? I got Callie Prater, who's from Clearwater there. He's 4-time state champion basketball player. Mark Dowse, guys that I'd gotten to be friends with.
Right.
Absolutely, we'll take you. So I went through spring ball at wingback. And the funny thing, Broderick Thomas was as big as a house, right?
Right.
So we're doing hook block drills as wingbacks on the DNs, because we ran a 52 defense back then. So Broderick was always really super lazy in practice, just because he was just that big and that fast and that good, right? Heck, he went on to play for the Cowboys as a linebacker.
Right.
So I was smart ass me. Me and him, I get him hooked. And Coach Samuelson just lays into it. So I get back in the back of the line, and I'm counting back.
Shit.
I'm good. We're not matching up again, right? So we were 2 people off. I get down, and he moves the guy in front of me. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. So I go to block him, and I swear he threw me 5 yards in the air. I'm like, yeah, I probably won't do that again.
Yeah.
I had one of those issues in Battle Creek, kind of the same situation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it got brutal in Battle Creek. Yeah, poor meat squad over there. That was always we tried not to kill you too bad, but on other days it was just inevitable. So yeah, so the Battle Creek was a great experience for me. Went to St. John's Lutheran through 5th grade through 8th grade, and I think a lot of what I learned. Mark Baumgartel was our teacher, and we've had flag football over there. And it's crazy how flag football teaches you a different way to play football.
Yeah.
Rather than contact, you got to avoid the contact. Avoid the contact and keep it from your flag. So it was an amazing experience over there. Pastor Bauman coached our basketball team and had a great experience with basketball there. Actually, it was my 8th grade year. I decided to pole vault.
Ooh.
A lot of people don't know I pole vaulted.
My son's trying to do that in track now.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
So in 8th grade, there'll be people on here that'll remember Troy Finkrell and Jeff Wickett. Well, they were juniors my 8th grade year, and we always shared track with those guys because we didn't have a track, so we always went over and ran with the junior high kids there. So I go over and Troy Finkrell's like, "Well, what hand do you write with?" Trying to figure out how to vault, right? That's why I write with my left hand. He's like, "Okay, you'll hold the pole like this." I'm like, okay. So, all right, run down there, and it's just awkward as all get out. Well, come to find out, not till my sophomore year, because we really didn't have a coach.
Right.
He asked me what hand I write with because he assumed that was my dominant hand.
Oh.
So I was trying to do a left-handed layup to pole vault.
Right.
I'm right-handed. I cracked my tailbone.
Oh my
gosh.
Come
back, landed on my tailbone. So my freshman year, I struggled. Snissers trying to work with me, screaming at me and this and that. And I don't even think I made 9 foot my freshman year. So Pete Kropp, he was our shop teacher and defensive coordinator for him. He never come into the high school building. So when I turned from my locker during the day one day, I see him coming down the hall. I'm like, what is he doing? He doesn't say a word to me. He throws this magazine at me, catch it. And it's a track and field magazine, and it's right in the front. It's got an article about pole vault. It's what I figured out. 2 weeks later, I'm going 10-6.
Instantly a foot difference.
Oh yeah, so get into sophomore year and don't qualify for state. Junior year, I qualify for state. Never been to Burke Stadium. Never been to the state track meet. Wind's blowing. It's hot. So there's a big tailwind, and got a kid warming up in front of me, and his pole's probably 20 pounds lighter than it should be. So he's almost doubling this thing over, almost launching him off the back of the mat. So get ready to start. Well, he's the guy right in front of me. Runs down on his first attempt. I think entering height was 11.6. He runs down, plants, goes up, and snaps his pole right below his bottom hand. Never seen a pole break. Then, as he's flying through the air, the pole uncocks and hits him in the back of the head. Ooh. Knocks him out cold. He falls face down on the mat.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That was my sophomore year. And so I got to go next. Never seen a pole break. Never seen somebody knocked out. I've had a half hour watching.
You mean this is a possibility?
Yeah.
This can happen?
3 and out. So my junior year, I come back. I ended up placing 5th. And if I went 13-2, I think. And then senior year, come back and get down to the last 2 of us, and we happen to have the exact same misses. So we both went out at 14 feet. So they lower it to 13.10. I made it, and he missed. He was the previous year state champion.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So it was a big deal because I weighed 180 pounds in football, and Sensor wanted me at 160 pounds of pole vault. So halfway through basketball season, he's like, I want you doing 500 sit-ups in a row and blah, blah, blah. And
lose 20 pounds.
The other thing that helped me my senior year is Chris Wentling, who had retired, or didn't retire, but he come to teach in Battle Creek. He actually coached me, and he had some state champions at Norfolk High. I actually worked for my mom when he was in high school.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to have Chris, coach me and that. So pole vault was the next love. So Morehead State actually wanted me to come on a full ride scholarship.
Really?
And what's crazy is that I started out college preventive medicine. Rode with Larry Moaning for 7 years, started in junior high and my 1 year of college. And Morehead State wanted me to come. They had a preventive medicine program. One of the hindsight things, it's like, but here's what hung me up. Okay. I tell people all the time that I'm not the athlete in my family of who I married.
Right.
My wife is. My wife was a 4-time state champion basketball player.
Oh, wow.
She was all-state, all-class center her senior year.
Jeez.
She ended up getting a full ride scholarship to Illinois State. Well, I looked at the map, and Morehead State's up in Minnesota, and Normal, Illinois is clear over here.
Right.
If I move, Lincoln's here, I'm 3 hours closer to go see her. So
right.
That kind of dictated it. Plus, I wouldn't be a Husker.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's be real.
If you got a chance,
you're trying to score brownie points with the wife here, but it was the Huskers.
Yeah. So just overall, and then looking back to after I blew my knee out. So get through, we were kind of talking there. So I get through my redshirt year, play wing back as my redshirt year. I get hurt in the spring game. I'm running down on putt coverage and feel like I have a chance to maybe make some special teams, right? Never in my life. I was always a hangback guy in high school,
Right.
And so the guy that lines up across from you, Mark Hagee. Mark Hagee's on Facebook. I don't know that he'll see it, but he's the linebacker across me. He's a short little bowling ball. And I'm like, I can beat him. He's got to block me, right? So I take off. I'm running down. Richard Bell catches the ball and starts coming behind the wall. And there's nobody in front of me. I got this guy. And I step, and all of a sudden, whack! I get hit on my shoulder, my leg. That's that old turf, like you put on your porch. I mean, it just tore you up.
Right.
I probably still have scars I can show you. On
I'm
my
sure.
elbows. And snaps my ACL and takes out 40% of my right meniscus pad.
Jeez.
So I had surgery, stayed around into the fall and rehab, and then in 90, I transferred to Peru State. So in the fall of 90, we actually won an NAIA championship down at Peru State. Now, you want to talk differences of NAIA versus NCAA, right? Yeah. It's more like being in high school.
Right. I was going to say, so you went from...
I mean, the weight room was in the bottom of one of the buildings that held offices for teachers. I mean, it was just like 3 offices that was run together that they took the walls out of.
Right. It's like the old dungeon at the junior high type thing.
From a weight room that was huge to this little weight room, you know?
Yeah.
And I loved the experience. It was fun. All those guys were great. But to tell you how it worked out, I mean, Scott Gertis graduated from Auburn High the same year I did. He probably rushed for about 700 yards less than I did. I think I was 2,012 yards rushing my senior year. 306 yards in the championship game, by the way.
Wow. That's wild.
So Scott and I graduated at the same time. Well, he went to Peru right away. He ended up being an All-American running back at Peru that year on that team. So, you know, pick your poison where you want to be. And that's, you know, even talking to Tran, I mean, if you really want to play football and you want to be on the field, go to where you can play at that level and not have to really force it. Now, if you're mentally strong and you can take the fact that you're going to set and you've got to improve yourself, and it's in here, in your heart, to keep improving and not be stroked because you're great, you'll be fine. And there's guys out there who do it all the time, right?
Right.
So at Peru, you have to have them, otherwise you're not going to have a good practice squad.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to go home and beat yourself up,
right?
You know, and so, but with Nebraska, I mean, I got to go to the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl. I think it was the Orange Bowl my redshirt year. So we go. They load us all up because they need us to practice, right?
Right.
We're flying down to the Orange Bowl, and one of the student trainer guys that helped on practices, he's walking around with a clipboard and a stack of envelopes. Sitting with Kelly Prater, I'm like, what is he doing? You know, he gets down here, sign here. So we sign our names and he hands us an envelope. We open it up. There's $500 in it. Well, the bowl committee gives money to so we'll spend it in Miami.
Right. Yeah.
So we went deep sea fishing. We went, you know, and what's funny is I kind of think, talking to Todd, you know, Osborne kind of let us go wild in those days. When he cleaned it up and just kind of put the hammer down, is when he started winning national championships.
Right.
I mean, it's like, you guys, some of us people will never get out and go anywhere.
Yeah, right.
You know, it let's focus and take care of business. So, so overall, I mean, college experience was great. Moved back here in 92. Suzanne finished a year ahead of me in school, of course, because she did it in 4 and I took me the 5. So
hey, at least only took you 5. I still haven't, you know, technically finished. So
still working on it.
And today, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would want somebody that wants to do the job versus somebody that thinks they know how to do the job.
That seems to be what most people want.
You know, and anymore, I think you get picked up because, you know, how's your attitude going to be trained, right? So she wanted to be in Chicago. She has an accounting degree and wanted to get her CPA, and she wanted to be with one of the big firms, right? And I begged her to come back. I just did not want to raise my kids in Chicago. And so got her to come back, and believe it or not, back then it took her 6 to 8 months to land a job with an accounting firm here in town. And she got picked up by Ott and Pruce and Beckman at that time. And actually it was Ott and Pruce in Seahigh, Beckman Seahigh. And she worked for them for 14 years. But when I got back here, it was crazy, right? So I got my business management degree with an emphasis in marketing.
Yeah.
And I thought, gosh, there's so many places. I start dropping in with resumes. And the crazy thing is in our community, so many things are locally owned, right? So you go and interview, you're talking to the owner.
Usually, yeah.
You know, and I'm looking, where am I moving up? I mean, he's the top. He's not giving up his spot.
Yeah.
Right.
So I ended up taking a job with Paul Hughes at it's Heritage Financial now is what it turned into, but it wasn't that until they moved to their new building, selling life insurance for Minnesota Mutual. And I did really well. So those of you looking to get into life insurance, when they say, hey, write down 200 of your closest friends and family, what's it become? It becomes your call list.
It's literally what it's, yeah. So if they're asking you to write that down, that's literally your call list.
That's your call list when you start. So,
I knew that when I was writing it, but yeah.
I did not. I did not.
Yeah.
I was clueless.
Yeah.
And
it's not just that they want to know if you know 200 people.
Yeah. That's something. Oh, I know 200 people. Are we going to call for references?
Oh, yeah, I got this.
Do I have 200 people that are going to vouch for me? Wow. What's this person? Well, there was that time.
Do they have to be alive?
Oh, and you got to get the names, the numbers. You got to get emails and everything. And they take it.
Yeah. That's basically what they work. So, So Paul was good to me and put me on a base and once I went.
That's good if you had a base.
I did have a base. It wasn't. He sat down with me and said, okay, what do you got for payments? So I got rent, I got a car payment. And he's like, okay. I mean, he wasn't letting me live, but he was wanting me to be
successful.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we start going on this list. And I mean, I was going to get 90% of 50 of the first year premium, right?
Right.
Probably giving way too many secrets here, but
that's not really, but that's
generally
you have high incentives in your first year to 2 years
of what you get paid on that. So there's residuals, but I mean, I'm getting through my list and I'm making, I start doing the math, and I'm like, hey, Paul, I want to go on commission. So then I get through the 200. Here I am, 23 years old. And I'm sitting here. We don't have social media. We don't have, we don't have cell phones. There's no way to track people down. So I'm literally going through the paper, looking at wedding announcements and trying to find people my age because I did not have that experience or trust to go talk to somebody that was my age now.
Right.
How am I going to trust you? You're 23 years old. You're just getting started, So ended up about a year and a half with that. And I said, just couldn't do it. Did a 6-month stint over at Great Dane.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was actually really pretty cool. And
that's tough work.
Yeah. And I was in the body stand. I don't know if you guys are familiar how they do that,
really,
but they make the sides, they make the ends, they make the noses, and then it all comes together in the body stand.
Okay.
So I spent all day with a drill and tap it holes to put the coving up.
Okay.
And about 6 months over there, and a sales job come open with KNN. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I went from one intangible to another intangible, and they stuck me in the outside area, the rural area, is what I got for my sales territory, and so really. What it amounted to is I made cold calls, but a lot of it was going back through the person I replaced and what people had done the year before because they were very consistent about anniversary sales or this time of year sales, and I enjoyed that work, and just really still wasn't a sales guy per se.
Yeah.
And I don't think the top end was where I was going to want to be, and the people that were selling in town that were making better money weren't going anywhere real fast.
Right.
So. Ended up, Sean Bolt owned the brewery in Stanton. So I'm drawing back to food. I talk about my family, I was trying to not be in Burger King or, we only had one restaurant at the time. I mean, my mom's running it. So
you've kind of had a wild run though. It's sales and then manual labor, sales, back to restaurant. It's kind of crazy.
So yeah, it was, I've done a little bit of everything. So then Sean Bolt owns a brewery in Stanton. He was looking for somebody to help him manage. And Sean used to work for Perkins years ago, and he's not around anymore.
Like the Perkins restaurant?
Perkins restaurant. Okay. Or no, I'm sorry. Village Inn Restaurants.
Okay.
Village Inn Restaurants. And what they would do with Sean is they'd send him into the poor stores that weren't doing well.
To revamp them.
Bad table times, flip times. He'd go in and revamp them. So what Sean had run into is he'd had that restaurant for a couple of years, and he was getting to where, same as me with sales, he was getting because he wanted to see those big increases. Well, in Stanton, Nebraska, you're only going to increase.
You're going to be where you're at.
Right. I mean, you're going to make it as good as you can, and at some point it's going to flatten out.
Right.
So he wanted to kind of do some other things. I come in and kind of helped him out, and I was with Sean for probably about a year. And then our franchisee at the time, who was out of Sioux City, decided, hey, let's build a second store in Burger King. So I actually got in on the building of that whole restaurant, and then staffing it and then running it. So it's kind of how my led up to get to Burger King. And then I've been in 95. So in 97, our franchisee out of Sioux City decided he wanted to move to California, and he sold his Sioux City stores, his Spirit Lake, Fort Dodge. I think he had 12 restaurants. Well, he stayed on with my mom as the financial backer. We would have never, with the net worth and that kind of stuff that Burger King required, would have never made it. So 97, she bought the restaurants with his help. And 5 years later, we had him off, and just have kind of moved forward with him since then. So Yeah. So
It's kind of a wild path.
yeah. I started with Burger King when I was 14.
Right.
I think minimum wage was either $2.75 or $3.15 an hour.
I'm wondering if my mom worked there when your mom worked there, because she kind of helped with the opening of that store. She was in high school on 13th Street.
Yeah, so she would have got there in 79. So it opened in 78. So yes and no.
Just trying to think.
In the summer of 79.
I'll have to ask her.
So
I'm assuming they probably worked together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in high school. I think my buddy Craig Gunther had just turned 16. And I wasn't dating my wife at the time, by the way. But we used to cruise Maine. It didn't used to be the diagonal parking. It was parallel parking. So
I still remember the parallel parking. Yeah.
And my mom was such a tough boss, right? She was. I mean, I got Don Wisniewski worked for her for like 3 weeks, and I couldn't take it. I mean, he was a farm kid. I can't take your mom.
Right.
And so she's very strict. And you got away with it back then because kids actually got yelled at home, right? I mean, it was, crack the whip. And parents didn't call and yell at the boss because they're getting on their kid.
Right.
So
usually they'd say, "Well, what the fuck did you do?
Yeah, what did you do wrong?
What'd you do?" So Craig and
what did she do? What did you do?
Craig and I are driving Maine, and these two girls want us to hop in, so we hop in, and we're driving Maine, and I just say, "What do you guys work?" And I didn't work like during football season. I didn't work or basketball. It was usually the summers.
Right.
I didn't know them. So they're like, "Oh yeah, we work at Burger King." And I'm like, "Oh, what do you think of Bicky?" And they're like, "She's a effing bitch." And I'm like, Craig goes, "That's his mom." I mean, I almost flew into the front seat. They hit the brakes so hard. Get out!
Oh,
Get out! We're gonna get fired. Get out!
That's funny.
Yeah, it was. So, just good to grow up when my dad very, very driven as well, but my mom was very goal driven, and I think that's where a lot of us boys got that whole to aspire. And Tommy, my brother Tommy, well, Todd, you've seen what Todd's done. I mean, Todd's done a lot of things and had a lot of passion to do things. My brother Tony's kind of an oddball. Nobody knows about him.
I was just gonna say I had no idea you.
I got a brother Tony. Yeah, he's between Todd and I, and Tony was always kind of the quiet one, but Tony's very smart. Retired at 50.
Oh, wow.
He likes to day trade, but his real job was he started with Bass and Associates in Omaha.
Okay.
It's computer programming. And his boss, Vince Stevens, who I got to be real good friends with because he married Jennifer Priner, who her family had Redbud in Battle Creek. Anyway, Vince moves out to Sidney, Nebraska from Omaha and takes a job with Cabela's.
Okay.
Well, he gets out there and he calls Tony. He's like, "Dude, I need help." Vince was Tony's boss at Bass.
Yeah.
"I need help." So Tony moves out to Sidney to start what is then their online business.
Really?
Tony got in the grassroots of that. So Vince ended up moving on. Tony took over the department, and he lasted through the Bass Pro Shop, buyout merger. And,
wow.
And he had to fire. He had a staff of 30. They made him fire 15. Bass Pro would rather have that as a contract service rather than employees.
Right.
So he convinced them to hang on to 15, and they built Bass Pros. And anyway, so what did he hang on? Probably 4 years with Bass Pro, and then he turned 50, and he's like, "I'm done."
Wow.
So now he just consults.
Right.
Because everybody knows.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Oh yeah. So he picks and chooses and plays golf every morning, and
right.
Yeah.
That's the life. That's the one thing I wish I could get to at some point.
Yeah,
is just to be able to go consult.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. I thought about trying to figure that out with the restaurant, how to make your store fast, how to run labor, because so many people don't know it. Absolutely. So then you got Todd. We know Todd. Tommy is the fourth. And so Tommy actually out of college had a computer science degree, went to work for Union Pacific, worked for Union Pacific for about 2 years. His wife Jen had a what would it be called? Some sort of economics degree, home economics area with childcare.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Tommy gets a hold of mom. He's like, "Hey, we want to start daycares." My mom's like, "What?" So mom helps him get started with their first one. And then he ends up that one he built. And then he built another huge one. Then he rented a facility. He probably housed over 300 kids.
Wow.
Really?
In Omaha.
That's wild.
So they ran that, I'm going to say 10 plus years. And then they sold it out, kept the land and buildings. And now he owns Window World in Lincoln and Sioux Falls.
Okay.
So, and then Tyrone, you guys are too young to remember.
He's He would have been
98
like
is when
the
he graduated.
youngest.
Yeah, he was
I
the
would have been
youngest.
like maybe fourth, fifth, sixth.
So you remember
seventh.
watching him probably
Oh,
play
yeah.
football and stuff.
Yeah.
So
like that was
Tyrone was a wild child.
Then we came into high school and we were shitty. So
you want crazy stories, you bring Tyrone in. And,
Okay.
and so Tyrone actually walked on and played football in Nebraska too.
Okay.
He had a bad car accident in his sophomore year in high school, just about killed himself.
Wow.
Didn't know he had hurt his neck. And so he's down in Nebraska playing fullback. He actually started against Iowa State. Willie Miller had sprained his ankle. Well, later that year, he's doing ISO blocks, running head-to-head to guys. He's getting this tingly, numb feeling. They figured out he'd torn a ligament between his first and second vertebrae.
Oh, my gosh.
So to fix that, they got to pull everything across, go in and fuse
Right.
it. And he basically, it's mom's, you got a second opinion out in California. The guy said, you're just done. We're not going to do surgery.
No.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're lucky you're not dead,
Right.
but you'll be fine. So he ended up staying on and coaching and undergrad assistant and got his degree in forestry wildlife management. So mom puts him in a pickup. He wants to be a bass fisherman. So he's doing this, the step, and I cannot remember what it was back then, but it's a step below the Bass Pro Tour.
Okay.
So, and he's just, it's not as, it's kind of like golf almost, right? You go out, if you're just playing, it's okay. I can fluff up here. And
Right.
you go out and pre-fish these lakes and catch all kinds of fish. Well, then as soon as it come to fish day,
You don't catch
they
them.
put an amateur in the boat with you. His amateurs, well, he'd overthink it is what he'd do. His amateurs were winning the damn amateur side, but he's not catching any fish. So he did that for 4 or 5 years. He ends up landing in Nashville. Funny story how he meets his wife, the Tennessee Titans, playing Cincinnati Bengals. He ended up bar back. He wanted to sing, and it went from fishing to being a country music singer. So in Nashville, if you go work in a bar, they'll let you sing once in a while on stage.
Right.
So he figured that out. So he's bartending in one of the bars downtown there, and he happened to have the night off when the Bengals played the Titans, and him and his friends are in this bar, and he's come out of the bathroom and he's walking by this table of 3 girls, and they're like, hey, come sit down. He's like, what? Sit down. This old creepy guy's hitting on us. You need to act like our boyfriend. So he sits down, and sure enough, the guy comes back and he runs him off, and they get to talking, and he met his wife that night.
Wow.
From Cincinnati.
That's wild.
Now they got 5 boys.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Tyrone actually runs. He ended up kind of landing on his feet. Went to work for a logistics company, and kind of got tired of their crap and started his own. So he owns Lunker Logistics and books freight and moves. His specialty is moving trailers. It's like Great Dane, Wausau, those guys.
That's a good business to be in, especially right now.
Yeah, so he's done that. He's probably got 4 or 5 agents that work for him and book loads. And
So they just basically, these places call to them, and then
they post it on the board. These
That's
semi
what I
drivers see it, and these carriers see it. They post it. He's got to see it from pickup to delivery. And,
That's decent commission on that.
oh, he makes good money.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I've seen videos of how that kind of gets
his
ran.
wife has a master's in education and hasn't taught a day in her life. She takes, well, I shouldn't say she hasn't worked a day in her life. She has 5 boys. So,
Yeah,
so she stays
she's
home and
handling
takes care of
that.
the kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's enough of a job. So.
I didn't realize you had that big of a family.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I just always thought it was
I just get to be the
you
oldest.
and Todd.
No, no, that's because the other guys kind of moved away. Todd and I were the only ones that stuck around here. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Todd time together. We can talk about that.
We will get there in a minute.
I won't jump the gun then.
I just wanted to talk about so how many kids do you have?
I have 4 kids.
You have 4 kids.
Yeah, we got a 31-year-old, 2 29s, and a 27.
Okay. So we're not too far. I'm not too far off. We're not too far off of the oldest.
I think Jared was 2012, 14, and 16.
That's about okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah, they all. Well, I shouldn't say Morgan ended up graduating from. My daughter was one of the twins, graduated from Lutheran High. Otherwise, the rest of them were all Norfolk Catholic. And
Over Catholic.
some state championship football teams. Jared was on a state championship basketball team. And
Did you help coach any of that?
when they were little.
That's
when
good.
they were little. Oh yeah, absolutely. I loved coaching at the YMCA, and matter of fact, Todd and I kind of helped Randy get that whole thing started down there.
That's what I thought with the
kind
whole.
of disappointing now, kind of seeing they're going to drop it,
It's gonna get
move
dropped,
away
yeah.
from it. So that's a whole nother.
Sounds like there's another league trying to kind of pick it
Yeah,
up.
there was a couple of different guys called me, and then I kind of sent him to Todd because he did some of his stuff. So
It's probably hard logistically to
well,
do a tackle football league, right?
the biggest problem they're going to run into is finding somewhere to practice.
To practice.
To practice, yeah.
What's the liability on that? Do you have to carry any?
Oh yeah, they'll have to have insurance.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll have to have waivers, and the parents will have to prove they have health insurance, and
that's what I figured.
some of those things. So that's was nice when it wasn't under the Y because it fell under their umbrella,
right?
And it just kind of made it flow and be easier. But
do you know why they got rid of it? I didn't.
You know,
really
I
hear the full story.
haven't asked the question, and I just think it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And Randy's kudos to Randy. Randy didn't know nothing about football other than a referee in it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know that he really ever played football. And so leading on Todd and I, and Randy knew it was good for the kids and it was a good way to make revenue for the YMCA. He ran that thing as the director himself.
Okay.
So when you get a new director and he's going,
a lot of things are going
I don't
to
have somebody to run this.
Right.
You know, to be honest, I don't know that to be certain, but I would look at it as a new director going, if I can raise these funds over here and do something different, and I don't have to be tied into something.
I also know it's hard to find volunteers right now because I even know I don't always like to coach anymore because I want to be able to sit and watch and take it all in. Yep. And I always end up coaching because nobody else wants to do it.
We could do a whole nother podcast on volunteerism and just everything that I'm on and do and have been on. I will tell you, it's been a struggle the last 5-8 years. Just kind of like you said, people have stepped back and not wanted to volunteer.
Yeah. So
to get people to volunteer, and I'm on Big Bang Boom as well, and we're so fortunate. I'm so excited because we're down to Don Waziski, Jolene Waziski, and myself and Suzanne are the original people from way back in '99 when we started. We're the last ones standing, and we've got a whole bunch of. They'll range in age from, well, matter of fact, Ty Geiger's just graduated high school.
Okay.
Or no, he'll be a senior. No, Ty graduated. So all the way up to, in their early mid 30s, and we've got 40 people strong, and
just a bunch of pyros.
Oh yeah, well, we got to be a little crazy. So it's been good to see that we've rebounded. It's just I wish more people, that's my message to most people. I got somebody classmate thank me for doing everything I do, and I said, I just got tired of sitting around and complaining. And I said, I'm going to get involved and change things.
That's the thing. You just got to get involved.
If you're not going to get involved and try and help move the needle, then you're just complaining.
100%. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So now we can, if you wanted to, we can get into the Burger Boy stuff.
Here we go.
So if you haven't, I'm sure anybody that's going to watch this probably remembers the Burger Boys.
If you're from Norfolk.
Yeah.
I mean,
you were around back then.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never forget when Todd was talking. I was telling you before we got on here, Zach, that Todd had some kid coming up selling candy bars for school, and Todd opens the door to this little kid, and his jaw drops. And he's like, "You're a Burger Boy."
That's so funny.
Oh, I still get. I mean, it's been almost 20 years ago.
You guys are famous. I mean, I remember it to this day.
And unfortunately, we got a cease and desist from Burger King. I don't know why. I mean, I think everybody should make a cry out that Todd and I get back together, and
I think you guys should.
We should do some remixes, and
we could even film it for you if you want.
Oh yeah, there you go. So this was kind of Todd's brainchild, and it just grew into. I don't know if
where did he come up with the idea?
I suppose it was a spinoff of Sonics with those two guys talking in the car.
Is that around the same time?
Yeah, about the same time.
I forgot about when you said Sonic Boys. I was like, what are you talking about?
I always thought that was later than these.
You think it was? Maybe it was. Not, maybe they spin off of us. I don't know. I want some royalties.
Because the thing you shared was from 2009.
Yes.
Is that one of the first? Is that like the first year you guys did it?
Oh no, we'd been doing it probably 2 years before that.
So like 07?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
I might have been before that, wasn't it?
Todd's just kind of like, hey, we're going to start doing commercials. I'm like, what? You're crazy. So they had a great guy, Dan, at Cable One at the time, did the filming, did the editing. He came up with a lot of the scripts. And we kind of generally threw ideas and worked through them. And that's where some of the bloopers are hilarious.
So what was the cost on some of this?
It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
That's what I always wondered.
To be honest, I mean, back then, the profitability in restaurants was way higher. So we had some of that kind of mad money to throw at some of this stuff.
You had wiggle room, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
the difference is now it would cost nothing to make because you could just make it on your phone with a TikTok.
Yeah, we could do it ourselves. This would be TikTok stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Burger King kicked me off TikTok. Let's go.
Okay, so you just want to go? Do you want to go through all of them? Or do you want to pick and choose?
Scroll down a little bit. Let's find.
So these are all of them right here.
Let's click on the workout one there. Burger Boy's Getting Fit January.
This one here?
Yeah, there's an 08. Oh, there's an 07 to the right.
There is an 07, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to do this one?
Yeah, let's do that one first. It's the Burger
Okay.
Boys Getting Fit January 2008.
It's time to get fit with the Burger Boys.
Wow, Todd. I can see the holidays were good to you. Let's see what we can do to get rid of that spare tire.
No problem. Hey, the Burger Boys are into fitness too.
That's why we're giving away a 1-year family membership to the YMCA from each Burger King location in Norfolk.
Stop in and sign up today. Burger Boys signing up.
So then
That's good.
and we started getting pretty good at them. And unfortunately, I think just from putting them up, and I mean, they were a lot clearer of that on the TV.
Oh, of course,
So-
but
so
it's been gone through so many times and uploaded.
Right.
And
So if we do the steakhouse one, that actually won an award for Cable One in Kansas City the year that we did that.
this one here.
Yeah, it was the Men in Black
Okay.
copycat.
Yep.
The Burger Boys want to know who's the steakhouse burglar.
Burger Boys, someone stole my steakhouse burger.
What did he look like?
Kind of like him.
Don't worry, ma'am. The Burger Boys are on the case.
We've apprehended some potential steakhouse burglars.
Are any of these your sandwich? Northeast Nebraska, here's your chance for free food. Go to BurgerKingBoys.com and correctly pick out the Steakhouse Burglar for your chance to win a Steakhouse Burger value meal. One given away every day in May from each Burger King location in Norfolk. Troy, they all did look just like you. Burger Boys signing up.
Catch me if you can.
Who was all in that?
Oh, there's Mark Verbka. God, take it back and freeze it there. Yeah. Oh, that's Cody Middleton.
Yeah, I
of
knew
course.
Cody.
Brent Ehlers.
Here.
Yep, that's Brent Ehlers from
Yeah.
Premier Senior Marketing.
Okay.
He probably doesn't even remember he did that.
And then that
I was
one.
trying to. That was me.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell.
I know, hiding behind the Whopper. Like, hey, don't pick me.
That's Cody.
And then Mark Verbka.
Okay.
I was trying to find guys that were completely bald like me.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's
Oh.
good. That's good.
But yeah, we ended up. I don't know how many we made. We go the cute one's Trent there. Let's
Did you guys have
see.
bar tea in one of these too?
I don't
No.
know if we ever had bar tea.
Hmm.
Let's
There's a
see.
blooper one. You said those are pretty
Yeah,
good.
the bloopers are good.
Want to do that one?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Burger King Boys commercial, take 35.
Fine on set. Rolling. Ma'am, the
To the YMCA from Norfolk.
Thanks, Burger Boy. Even the Burger Boys aren't perfect.
Go to our website and print off your Burger King coupons today.
Burger Boy signing out. Yeah, I butchered that, but it came out right.
I completely forgot about some of those. Those are good. Any other ones you wanted to show?
Do the Titans, the Burger Boys football commercial up there with the Titans and the Chief.
This one here?
Yeah. I don't remember the one when the Batman costume. Maybe do that one. Do the Batman costume.
The Batman. It's like Halloween
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah, Halloween. Oh, this is funny.
Trick or treat.
But it's really us, the Burger Boys.
And does Burger King in Norfolk have a treat for you?
Halloween may be coming, but there's no disguising the great taste of Burger King's Mushroom Twist Steakhouse Burger. Troy, what are you doing?
Our customers can count the number of candy corns in these jars and then go to our website to enter to win.
We're giving away $250 from each Burger King.
Take a chance at winning everybody's favorite treat.
Yeah, Burger Boy signing out.
Good. Those are good.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
I hear
That's funny.
It's a great. Yeah, it was tons of fun.
Well, I'm sure.
Again, I think there's still kids today that were little that saw that'll see me today and they're like, "You guys need to bring the Burger Boy."
You
commercials
should.
back."
You really should.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to.
Todd would be up for it. I'll guarantee it. Todd doesn't.
Well, it doesn't
miss
take too much
moment.
to
No,
start a
uh-uh.
TikTok, or is that against company?
I don't know. They'd have to find us first.
Well, right.
You
just won't
tell them this time.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
do it under the same.
Yeah.
This the B King Boys.
Be King Boys.
It's probably why that's probably why you guys did it that way. You didn't put the Burger
Yeah,
King in there.
Todd
the
did
B
all
King
that. I'm
Boys.
not very technology savvy, so
Yeah, the problem is these are all at 240p from back then.
yeah, they're not very. That's why they're not very clear.
Yeah. I was trying to change the settings on. it. I
No,
was
no,
like,
there's
oh.
this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, that's how YouTube was back then. Now you can do the whole 4K. And,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
That's wild. So Todd came up with that. Was there any other ideas that you guys were going to do, or did you guys you got a cease and desist, you said?
Well, yeah. So I kind of throw it, kind of thinking, hey, this might be something we can do nationally, and the CEO, I'll email him to me. I'd love to look at him. And 2 weeks later, I get the cease and desist demand letter. Please remove all these from your site and this and that. And obviously, they're still on YouTube, but
right.
That's not my channel.
Well, look how long it took me to find it.
I know you had to dig.
I did have to dig.
B King Boys, if you want to see the rest.
Yeah, it's B King Boys on
YouTube.
On YouTube, if you want to find them. Yeah, I had to type in like 6 different ways.
Yeah,
and then we finally found it. But you had a bunch on your Facebook page, but they're all muted.
No, the sound, and they're just so old. I think they just gave up on them.
So sticking with Burger King a little bit, how do you balance maintaining Burger King's brand standards with adding your own local flair to the business outside of like doing the Burger Boys thing, but like maybe nowadays?
Well, I think the local flair is the fact that I'm in my restaurants, I'm in my community. People know what I do. I support my community, whether it be through donations. I mean, there's just, I think this Friday I've got a benefit for somebody donating 400 buns, just ways to get in the community and take care of our community. Because at the end of the day, that's where we live. That's who we need to take care of. So doing that, and then just trying to work in the local flavor. I mean, some of this brings back things that we haven't done in a while. Maybe I need to set some candy corns out and do some giveaways. And we used to give away Husker tickets and bicycles and just different things. That was all my mom. And, just get busy in the hustle and bustle and forget some of those things. And that would be something that I would, with the new restaurant opening and doing some of that stuff.
Might be something fun to do.
Absolutely. So, but I think the real true, when you look at the restaurants in Norfolk, especially the box stores or the name brand, the corporate stores, I think we're down to Culver's, Rich Riley and Zach Steiner, the Rossberg boys with Subway, Jeff Van Dyke at KFC, and me, I think.
That's it.
I might miss somebody there, but everybody else isn't locally owned. Kevin Hall used to have McDonald's, and
that's like Leonard Management or something now, isn't it?
Leonard Management.
When did that? I guess I don't remember that happen.
Oh
That's
gosh, 5, 6, 7
Has it
years
been
ago.
that long ago?
Kevin owns a bunch of scooters in Missouri now.
Oh,
he got the heck out of Norfolk.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah,
we used to play ball with him at the Y all the time.
Oh yeah.
I've known Kevin for a while. Kevin's
a good dude.
Yeah, he is a good dude.
So,
did you guys ever battle at all?
No, but my mom and his dad did. It's
Oh.
hilarious. I mean, they didn't even know each other, never shook a hand, never said a word each, but they hated each other. Oh my
That's
God.
kind of the old school business, right?
Oh yeah, super competitive. Nobody'd move on prices. I'm not moving until they move. Kevin would call me, God damn it, when do you raise prices?
It's like the old local gas stations. I remember that battle with that too.
Oh yeah.
When they had, it's like you lower, no, you lower, no, you do it.
Yep. So I think that's a big deal is I try and look at my crew. I know them all. I'm in the restaurants every day, and I look at these other restaurants that, they're owned by, and I see it in Burger King too. That's probably the frustrating part is if you live in Columbus, because I get a ton of calls about Columbus, they're owned by Tri-City Foods, who's out of Texas, and probably have close to 500 restaurants.
Right.
So they have so many layers of management, and it gets so dissolved down of the care.
Yeah.
That they're just not taking care locally of what they should be. So
you can tell most of the time that I've been to Burger King that it seems like most people there like their job.
Right.
Here in town.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
To me.
But you and I talked before we got on too, is I'd love to do a podcast that the customer isn't always right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be honest, my philosophy with my employees is the customer is right until they're not.
Right. And that's
you want to start swearing at my customer
Right.
or swearing at my employee, telling them they're stupid. I mean, this is another thing and a great place to tell this. So I tell all my friends or anybody that wants to listen is my employees come from a different social economic background, right? They've been kicked around, beat around. I mean, they're not saying that I haven't. I've had employees work for me, ended up at Nucor in a business job. And I tell people when I hire you, I don't, unless you become management, this isn't your end all be all, but put your roots down and work somewhere and get some history, right? Learn some things, learn how to do things efficiently. But being where they come from socially, economically, they've been beat around, kicked around. If you come in and people literally throw their food, I've had it done to me, throw their food at you, they will, hair stands up on the back of their neck, the Burger King goes off their shirt, and it's you and them.
Right.
And that is not a fight you want.
Right.
But now listen, If you go in there and you're like, hey, I know you're busy. I don't like onions on my Whopper. They'll be like, oh my gosh. You know why? Because they've been screwed over, kicked around, beat around.
Right.
They'll give you a free sandwich. They'll probably give you, if you come in and just treat them like human beings.
Right.
Instead of coming in, so you don't know how to jaw, how stupid are you? And swearing and cussing. And I tell people all the time, Joe in the kitchen didn't wake up this morning and say, Zach, I'm going to put onions on your Whopper because I know you don't like them.
That's usually how I try to approach it is,
right.
Hey, I know you're busy, but if you could just.
Perfect example. I was out with some friends and we went to a restaurant, one of the Mexican restaurants, and you can try and pick and choose. But honestly, I'll tell you, it was Michael's Cantina, right? I'm eating my enchiladas and I bite into something, right? So the friends I'm with, I've got one friend that I've gotten and I've trained her over the years because she'll send food back. This isn't right, that isn't right. And like, Yvonne, you're giving them your food. What are you doing? It's going back to the kitchen. Doesn't that bother you? Granted, nobody's doing anything.
So me is I send it back and I don't eat.
Right.
Like if you've messed it up,
if it's bad, right,
I'm not going to eat it.
But then bring me something different, right?
I won't let you.
You won't let you?
No, because I've worked in a restaurant.
Oh, you know what they're doing back there.
Like one, yeah.
I don't. Not all of it's going to happen, but you could have one person just not in a good mood.
Oh yeah.
And it's just not worth it to me. It's like I just take it off my bill. I don't want it.
Yeah,
I asked for it this way. It didn't happen.
Yep.
We tried. It's whatever.
Do over next time, maybe. So I'm eating my enchilada and I bite into something, and I'm like, what's a piece of scratch pad, metal scratch pad?
Ugh.
I didn't choke, didn't break a tooth.
Yeah.
Sat on the side of my plate. Waitress comes by and I kind of she leans in and I said, this was in my food. And she's like,
right.
Oh my God. So that's all I said. Finished my burritos. None of that bothers me.
It doesn't bother me either.
Yeah. I hit a hair. Doesn't even, just keep going. I try to
pull it off.
Pull it out. Yeah. Just
before anybody sees it. Because then they freak out and I'm like,
oh yeah. She comes back 5 minutes later and she's like, says it loud enough everybody hears. So we're going to pay for your meal. I said, well, I appreciate that. And so the person that usually sends stuff back's like, what happened? I said, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I'll tell you later. Because I could have made a big scene and caused a big commotion.
Right.
They did not mean for that to happen.
Right.
And that's why Burger King does not allow us to have metal scratch pads
right,
because they flake off.
Right.
So, but if everybody would just take a different approach to how they approach people in retail. I've talked to people that sell clothes or sell cars it's no different that you get a lot further with, sugar than salt with, catching flies or bees or so.
Yeah, things have gotten so crazy in the insurance industry that I've had to start. People will get just instantly angry coming in the door. I just won't allow it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if that's the way you're going to treat my staff or myself, there is a door.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of other insurance agents in town that I'm sure would take your business.
Not
we just
like
won't
that.
allow that
won't.
here.
Yeah. And that's, we become such an angry society, and it's at all levels, from city government to county government to federal government.
And I think it's easier to be angry than it is to actually be nice anymore nowadays.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
It sure seems like it to me. People are quicker to say fuck you than to say thank you.
Yeah, and I got a couple of employees that'll try to create conversation and kind of like, how are you today? And they will just kind of stare at them and say, good, I'm good. How are you? And it's like we're trying to be polite here, and it's just there's no reciprocation.
It's like they just wake up pissed off.
And I just think it has a lot to do with social media and where people are at in the world.
You're not wrong.
There's just too many things that everybody gets so uptight about. I got friends that just, the whole mega haters. And I didn't like Biden, but I didn't cry about it every day. And I didn't, there was people posting bad stuff. I move on.
Right.
What's controlling me in here in this little circle of my world? If it invades, we take care of it. We fight where we can fight. But at the end of the day, that's wasted energy.
Yeah.
I
found that out really quickly with us even doing the podcast. I'm like, I can't do this every day anymore.
Yeah.
It is ruining my brain.
Yeah.
To even think about this every day.
Think of Joe Rogan. How in the world
his situation's a little different.
He's got a staff and
when he's learning too. Like
Sure.
he's like,
And he's not very political.
yeah.
Like
No.
So
he
he
kind
kinda-
of stays out of that.
but I'm just saying
political
the
game.
work.
The work. Yeah,
the work.
yeah.
Not even about what he does, but just the work.
But he thinks
Well,
it's
he
fun.
does 10
I
million
know,
different
I know.
things. mean,
I know.
He does
he
comedy.
just,
does UFC.
sits in front of the mic.
I know.
Does
True.
the UFC. He does all the fun stuff, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
has staff that does all the rest of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you two need to get.
We're trying to
You
get
hire
there.
a
That would be
staff.
fun.
We're not making any money
Yeah.
yet.
Hard
But-
to hire staff on a hobby.
We haven't had time to go out and get like advertisers or we could. We have like advertising packages. We've just never really gone and asked
Mhm.
anybody.
Right.
But finding the time to go do that's difficult.
Amen. But yeah, as far as balancing that and just trying to take care of what I can take care of here locally and really be involved, I think, that's just good advice for anybody that tries to start a business in our town is you got to get involved. You really do. And hats off. I mean, Raising Cane's does an excellent job of that.
I will say
see those
they
guys.
give a lot of discretion to their management to be able to do things
to do the
without
things. Yeah.
talking to
Yes.
corporate.
Yeah.
I've definitely
Yeah.
seen other, like, compared to other than like you guys, I've seen them at way more things
Oh yeah. Yeah.
than a McDonald's or even an Arby's or
Mhm.
any of that stuff. They're definitely
McDonald's, Arby's, Raising Cane's really.
They're
kinda
at golf
up-
tournaments all the time. They're at all
Oh,
kinds
yeah.
of things.
Yeah. So I mean, kudos to those guys. I think Eric runs it over there. I think
Eric, yeah, he's great.
He's
to
a
work
good
with.
dude. So, but I'm curious to see how Freddie's kind of steps up. And I was telling you off air before we got on, Jay's Steakhouse come in and was banging on box stores in the paper. And so I literally, when people come in for donations for a golf tournament or post prom or go see what Jay will give you and then I'll match it. Nobody ever come back.
I bet.
And he's banging on box stores. And the guy was from Fremont. And
Right.
granted, it bothers me to watch people complain.
Well, like you talked about, I think people forget that there are some of these like Burger Kings and the ones you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
are locally,
We're locally owned.
and you're putting money back into.
Yep.
You're putting your money back into. It's
Mhm.
not Burger King putting it
No,
back in.
no, it's me.
It's you putting your money back
Yep.
to the community.
And when you start dealing with the bigger restaurant owners that aren't local, they're trying to make a bottom line because they've got all that middle management. I mean, there's nobody between me and my restaurant manager at this point.
Right.
It's me, then them, and then the employees.
Yeah.
So, and you got to take care of those people. They're not making the most money in the world, but when they need things, I help them out. And
Yeah.
there's just a good relationship. And most of my employees, I probably got just the outliers, 3 or 4 at 13th Street, 2 or 3 on Benjamin that I constantly kind of turn over. But everybody else has probably been with me close to 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, because I take care of them.
Right. When did you see? I was going to ask this question earlier when we were off air, but when did you see the turn from like the younger demographic, high school age
Mhm.
kids working in the fast food industry, and now it's more of like a career path ish for some?
Mm-hmm.
When did that kind of change? With you being in it so long.
I don't have on 13th Street. We just hired a 15-year-old, which I'll do. A lot of times, I like somebody in my management or me to know their parents because of the restrictions on what they can and can't do.
Right.
I mean, during school, they can't work past 7, can't do dishes, can't mop. And basically, you got to be able to talk to people.
They can't do dishes and mop at 15 because they think that's like slave labor or what?
know that they could get hurt. There might be a
So that's
knife. There might
regulated.
be. It's regulated by the state. Yeah, they can't work more than 18 hours a week. So, you're doing a dinner rush, and this time of year, they're free to work. I think they can work 40 hours a week in the summer, but during school, so it's Labor Day to Memorial Day that they enforce the hours. So, they can't work past 7, can't work more than 18 hours a week. But as far as like they can't walk in a walk-in cooler, they can't be by the fryer, anything that they could get hurt.
What can they do? Run a cash register? That's
Cash
it?
register and hand out food, go wipe tables. But yeah, so it's really hard, especially if you're trying to run tight labor, to take a 15-year-old on that you're going to really have to coach them into a personality and not say we haven't done it. I mean, I've had some kids that we've hired at 14 and by the time they were 16, they were rock stars, and then they went to Hy-Vee because that's when Hy-Vee would hire us.
You had them all trained and ready to
Trained
go.
up, ready to go, and then they're like, "I'm out of here. My friends are at Hy-Vee, right?" So that's the only minor I have that would be a high school person at 13th Street. I think I got 2 or 3 at Benjamin.
Because I remember even when I was in high school,
We had a lot
I
of
know a bunch of my friends
Oh yeah.
Most
knew
of my
people in
friends
high
worked
school
at.
that
Yeah.
worked there.
That's when we could always, sometimes get a little bit
Oh
of a
yeah,
hookup,
yeah, absolutely.
at all the different
Absolutely.
restaurants because they
Yeah,
all worked at.
and it's I don't know if it's just not. I mean, when the kids come to college and you get on Madison County Exchange, hey, looking for a job, anything but fast food.
Yeah, that's what it says.
And I'm like, you want to learn more than just one thing, get a job, come work fast food.
in the restaurant.
That's the
industry
other.
in
That's the
general.
other
And then
thing.
fast food's got a little bit of benefits baked into the goods there.
Oh yeah,
Like,
my free food. Which,
It's
as
there.
long as you're working.
Technically, it's not free
you know.
food, but you know it.
Right,
you know how
right.
it
Well,
works.
for them it is, not for me. But that's yeah.
How does that work for your guys' benefits? And do you guys get Burger King benefits for full-time employees then, or you have to handle all of that?
So my managers, I help cover their health insurance.
Okay.
So I don't pay for it all, but
So literally, everything boils down to the owners when it comes to these.
there's
franchises.
nothing. I actually send them money, and then
Right.
I'm supposed to out of that. I got royalty and advertisement, so it's not quite 10% off the top.
Okay.
So with that comes some perks because of the buys on product, because of the quantity,
Right.
and also with that comes the marketing, right? So, and then they ding me all kinds of other places with training, and there's excess things that they get me on up besides those two things.
Right. But
So,
you own the property, right?
But I do.
Okay.
Well,
'Cause,
a lot of times guys don't. McDonald's, the corporation owns them all.
But that was the whole thing with McDonald's. That's what they got into the
Yeah.
industry for. Was
Yeah, they make more money off their rent.
they're
than
a
they
real
do.
estate business, not a.
Yeah,
Well, that's how Walgreens got their start. Walgreens doesn't own their properties.
right.
People own them, develop them, and
Yep.
lease them to Walgreens.
Yep.
Walgreens will say, I want to go into this town. And actually, Dad's business partner
Mm-hmm.
made his money doing this. He
Yep.
said, what town you want to go into? And if you notice any Walgreens, it's
Right.
on
there.
a corner.
Yep.
So they just go in and they buy the property, they build the building and everything.
They
And they
buy
just
the
get-
properties. If you remember, there was houses where Walgreens
Oh,
was.
well, whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll buy people out. No.
Mm.
Build
They
a building
probably
and then
do
lease
it. They probably do a triple net lease where Walgreens covers the taxes, the insurance,
And everything. Yeah.
So they're just getting a check.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was the
We
opposite of
were
McDonald's.
fortunate. So we didn't own either of our properties when we bought the restaurants.
Okay.
When we bought the franchise, George Sullivan owned Benjamin. He sold out to some guys out of North Dakota, and then those guys were ready to be done, and because the grocery store closed, so that's when Premier bought the grocery store. We bought from the guys from North Dakota our Benjamin property, and that's how the Yellow Pulse arrived.
That's what I was wondering how that
So
all went down.
It was a shared use development,
Yeah.
and the Premier guys come over and, hey, they really should have split this up before we bought this. Just need you to sign this paper. Sign the paper. Next day they're out drilling holes, which is fine. They were tired. I mean, people do, and in 13th Street's just as bad. They were cutting the lot for the light. You know, it doesn't really totally slow them down because they did have to give me access.
Yeah.
But, so we picked that one up 15 years ago, probably.
Okay.
And then probably almost 20 years ago, the guy that owned the 13th Street property was Klinger Properties out of Sioux City, because our franchisee was out of there. So he found a guy to buy the ground, put it up for him, save them and some of the cost. And I'll guarantee you the building was paid off. I mean, it'd been through, 35, 40 years of
Right.
rent, and it was a triple net lease. So the guy, and it was based on sales. It was like 6.5% of sales. So you take
So
that.
he had made enough money.
Oh, shit.
Made plenty.
So much money.
Yeah.
And so
So then do you own the whole corner or just
I
the
own
bird-
clear back the white fence and then the middle of Kenobi's lot there.
So he has that.
He's
Okay.
got the south side.
Gotcha.
But, so the developer, actually Klinger Properties, it was a crazy story. His great grandpa come over here and got dropped off as like an 8-year-old with like $6 in his pocket in the early 1900s.
Wow.
And made his way up and built this huge empire out over in Sioux City and whatnot. And he had bought out, the guy that owned it at the time had bought out all of his relatives and owned it solely. Well, he'd moved to Arizona to start a development down there, and it was in the big heavy equipment and moving stuff. And the guy was probably my age now, 55, 56, and he had like a 5-year-old boy. And he wanted in 20 years, he built a huge outdoor mall was selling all of his properties, the odd and end stuff. Otherwise, I don't know that he would have ever got rid of it. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
So you kind of was just
Just happenstance, and we're like, absolutely, let's do it.
Well, yeah.
So-
I mean, if you're gonna have it, you might as well own the property too.
Right. Yeah. Well, it makes it a lot easier.
Well, yeah, because then you can make all the decisions and
Mm-hmm.
not have to worry about it. What's the biggest challenge you face in running a Burger King franchise, and how do you tackle it? We kind of maybe talked about some of this. I asked one question, and we probably
Yeah, I'm really
questions I'm
bad.
gonna ask.
I don't like to talk, Zach.
not at all. I've noticed that you don't like to talk at all. So maybe we already answered that one.
Well, the only thing there is I think that the hardest part right now in Norfolk is the fact that, and I'm not complaining. First of all, let me preempt that.
Well, nobody complains on this show, so
Well, okay, so
It's
I'm
okay.
complaining,
I complain.
but we keep adding restaurants.
yeah,
Okay,
and we're adding more.
and we keep adding more, and we've not grown in population.
Right.
And go look at Facebook, and everybody's blowing out. We need an Olive Garden. We need a Red Lobster, and
That's what I hate.
And
That's why I don't comment on them, because I would blow up.
Because
I don't say
everybody
anything
will-
either. But the
They'll
reality,
support it for a week.
Yeah.
2
right?
weeks.
Well, go drive by Freddy's right now.
There's
Go drive by Freddy's.
I just talked to a lady came in for a meeting today. She said, we went and ate at Freddy's. I said, well, was it busy? Maybe not even 3 tables.
Call it the honeymoon period.
Yeah.
And so we've tried it. And now we're going to, so what, just quick kind of backsplash. So when my mom passed away 10 years ago, I was out we'd moved her from Battle Creek. So I had all the family pictures in a storage unit because we didn't move everything into our house. So I'm going through, I come across a spreadsheet from 97.
Oh,
And back then we didn't have Excel. It was all written out in pencil.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking, our sales basically in 97 were the same as we were last year.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Ticket average in 97 was $4.52.
Right.
Last year we were just under $12.
Right.
Labor in 97 was 12%. I'm 26% now.
Mm-hmm.
Food cost was 20, and now I'm 31.
Right.
So that margin that I'm talking about, and that's part of the reason that some of these franchisees have had to get so big, is you're
Because they
bringing
can
1,000,
shuffle their
2,000.
money around a little bit. Yeah.
It's they're doing what we used to do in the burger business, is sell. We used to have a challenge to try and do 100 cars from 12 to 1. I'm lucky to do 100 cars from 10:30 to 2 now.
That's great.
But our ticket average is so high that we're still doing the same amount of sales.
Right. That's
So
just wild to think about.
well, and it's just where it's going. That's probably the hardest thing, is trying to stay.
Do you think some of it is people cooking at home too, with some of the prices?
Have you
going
went
up?
to the grocery store?
Well, I know. I just didn't know.
I mean, I kind of look at that too. I'll go by and God, I just want to do a pot of chili, right?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's wild.
Granted, I'm going to have some leftovers and probably eat it for a few days, but it's not. The things that I see is we're not too far above what grocery store food is, just because they've had an increase in cost.
Right.
Well, and then the other part, I think there is on the grocery store side of it, there's an educational aspect missing of
Mhm.
people how to buy and how to cook,
Mhm.
right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
they don't know how. I want something quick. I want something fast. You're not saving any money.
and you're eating shit.
Yeah.
Well, they're
You're
not
going
they're
to
It's
not
all the
buying them,
preservatives or the prepackaged
but they're not buying
meals
in
or-
bulk.
Well, even
No.
that, or they're going to the meat counter, like you said. I'm gonna buy one steak, or I'm gonna buy. Don't.
Mhm.
I mean, I get it. The
You know where,
upfront
you know
cost
where,
is
you
big.
know where I get my beef?
I
get
go
it
to
from
Barish, or
I go to
I
my
have
cousin. My cousin,
Yeah.
we bought a full, and all my kids. That was their Christmas present.
You
I mean,
just
that's
you
big.
buy in bulk,
yeah.
even at the grocery store. buy
I
in
raise
bulk.
cattle, and
I
we
know.
don't get the. We have to go. Justin and I have to go down to Barish and buy bulk meat.
There's a reason why Hy-Vee doesn't sell any of their meat in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
I know
They
'Cause
don't have a
Right.
roll of anything.
It's
They
just-
don't
it's
have.
they
just
do.
their
You can get it.
Do they?
Oh yeah, you can buy a
At
full
Hy-Vee?
roast. Yeah,
Hmm.
but it's a little pricey, but
Mhm.
it's still cheaper than buying a steak.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Lou's is the only place in town I think that has.
Lou's does a great job.
They do a pretty good job.
Yeah,
of it.
but they'll Hy-Vee will do it. If you just have to say Hy-Vee, what are you charging
Mhm.
for a strip roast? What
Gotcha.
are you charging for a rump roast? What are you charging?
They just don't put it out on the.
No, it's not out in the counter. You have to. They
You
have
gotta
it in the
ask.
back.
They'll go back. Wait
Gotcha.
up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they have a price for everything. You just have to ask them what it is.
Gotcha.
And they'll do that with, you can get those big tubes of hamburger and stuff like
Then
that.
you
But
gotta
again,
know,
most
then you gotta
people-
know how to cut it up, and
That's
But
the other thing.
Most people won't ask that either, right? I won't.
Mhm.
I didn't ask.
Yeah, because you just didn't think they had it.
I just assumed they cut it all up, put it out on the.
Mhm.
Lou's does.
Deal.
They advertise their stuff a lot, and
Yeah.
they run a lot of sales that
Well,
way.
and a lot of it's out in the.
Yep.
Like just out on the counter.
I'd rather buy a whole prime rib and cut it myself.
Well,
Yeah,
100%.
Because back to the steakhouse days,
That's
Yeah.
what Justin and I do. We'll wet age it for 45 to 60 days
Yeah.
and just leave it in the fridge. And
Yep.
then we'll cut it up and package it and freeze
Yep.
them.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't really know. They think, oh, I got to eat this within a week. No, you don't.
Nope.
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 I
Or
promise
it's
you
like
don't. You're
buying
good.
4 apples off the thing instead of buying the bag of apples, like the 5 pound bag
discount,
or the
yeah.
or the potatoes.
Then you got to
or-
eat them.
No, but then you think you can freeze them. You can cut them up, freeze them. You could. There's a lot of things you can
Dehydrate
do.
them.
People just don't do it.
Throw them in the oven. Dehydrate them.
That's probably the other thing too. There's probably more waste in people buying groceries nowadays than there ever used to be.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. That was a big tangent we just went on.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was just-
sorry. Yeah, so the biggest thing, probably the hardest thing right now, is just the competition side of things. We try and keep ourselves priced. If somebody would actually go to the work of it, cheapest in town, not cheapest, I should say lower. I try and ride just below everybody. And there's times when I see the lines at other places, I'm like, is it really worth it to be less than them?
Mhm.
You know, but at the end of the day, I try and I want to take care of my employees. You know, I've pretty much at this point in my life everything I want. I don't need a Lamborghini. I don't need, you know what I mean? My kids are pretty
You
sad.
don't?
Well, no, I don't. Yeah. Todd, on the other hand, would take a
he'll take
Lamborghini.
the Lamborghini.
Yeah. He had that Dodge Challenger. Oh my gosh. I could have about killed him.
So when did he get out of the whole situation? Or
8 years ago.
8 years ago?
Yeah. So
What else? I mean, do you want to talk about any of that or?
Well, it just kind of got to a point with where we were with revenue, and Todd was kind of always had his fingers in a lot of places, and just kind of got to a point where it's Todd, we either got to commit so I can get rid of somebody that, you know what I mean, or let me buy you out.
Yeah.
And he took the buyout option, and then from there, you know, he started to set the bar. That was kind of his seed money to kind of get started.
Yeah.
Kind of ran down the path of the Eat Fit Go, which ended up not being probably the best decision because him and Tommy both got into that. They both kind of upside down on that. It was kind of a fad deal. And not
It's a great idea.
Support. Oh, absolutely. But it's just, I mean, he was going 2 or 3 times a week to Omaha to pick up meals because that's where they were cooked.
Yeah.
And then they expire and, you know.
There's a lot of waste, a lot of
a ton of
hidden
waste.
cost on that.
A ton of waste. So, but yeah, so that's kind of how we ended up. It was good terms in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, we haggled a little bit on what he thought it was worth and what I thought it was worth, and from there we just kind of moved on.
He just had other aspirations.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and he's done well.
That's good.
So
That's good.
you need motivated. Go find him on Facebook. I mean, that guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Forget how many days it's been. 3 years in a row. He's at least worked out every day, whether it's a walk or it's
Something.
yeah.
That's good. He's got a YouTube channel too.
Yep.
We can always bring that up at the end too. 'Cause you were just on there, right?
That's not his YouTube channel. So he's got a deal on Saturday mornings where he's got a 1 hour live calling kind of show where it's a podcast. It's not on the radio station, but it's like their web-based podcast and it's live.
Okay.
And they have every hour throughout the day. So
Gotcha.
it's just different because this is more fun because it's like Todd's like trying to text me, hey, got to go to a commercial in 15, you know, like what? We got to stop talking.
we got time limits. We got to hit.
I told him we don't have that here.
Yeah.
The only thing
We have, if you need to go to the bathroom, we'll just hit a button.
yeah, it's the only thing. I may have to use the restroom at some point. I can usually only make it about an
I should
hour.
have just went.
yeah.
And I don't live here. Zach's got to clean
Yeah, it's
that up,
okay.
so I don't care.
Can you share a memorable success story from your franchise, whether it's about a promotion, community impact, or a busy day besides the Burger Boy thing, maybe? Since we already talked about that.
Boy, everything seems to kind of, I don't know. I guess I can't put my finger on one thing. And there's many things that we do, you know, as far as, you know, just some of the things that we've helped out, tried to support. You know, those probably are the ones that stand out to me is when we're able to get involved.
How hard is it to say no to something? Because I'm sure you have to say no a lot, right?
It's hard.
Yeah. It's
especially now. I mean, and I've had to. I mean, the animal shelter, Northeast Nebraska Animal Shelter, they're trying to do $1 million campaign, and I'd love to give them $10,000 over 5 years. And I told Lisa, I said, right now where I'm at, I mean, I'm getting down to where we've been going at this long enough. I'm going to have to borrow money just to make payroll.
Yeah.
Because I've not cut my hours back because I need to keep my people.
Right.
And we've done about 65% of what we were doing. So we're not bad, but I told Lisa, I said, you got to let me come out of this. Let me see how I spring out of this.
Yeah.
You know, Burger King says we'll have an 18% bump in sales, but we're in Norfolk, Nebraska. And like I said, the amount of food. So
And we're adding
I'm
more
just hoping,
restaurants.
hoping we get to where we were and maybe a little bit. It won't be 18, but there's a lot of things that's probably in the last 2 months that's been the hardest.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still doing coupons. I got golf tournaments. You know, the Lions Club come for their fishing day, and I gave them 300 ice cream coupons, and then my ice cream machine broke on 13th Street. That's a real thing, by the way.
I was going to say, is that a real thing?
It's a real thing.
It's not. I just gave you these coupons. Yeah, I never want to. No, these are never really actually.
Well,
It's a
it's just-
coupon. It's broke.
It's never coming back.
I mean,
the ice cream machine's never coming back.
McDonald's is always, you know, their
It's
ice
always
machines are literally broke.
So what is it usually? I think they did a whole documentary on it.
It's a lot of different things that it can be as a crazy thing, but a lot of times it's the compressors, and
It's not
it
something you can fix.
No,
You have to have somebody come in there.
They come out of Des Moines, Iowa, to fix it.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, hey, my ice cream machine's broke. Oh, we'll see you next Wednesday. What?
Perfect.
What? Yeah. So that's what we're
wild.
dealing with.
That's wild.
I mean, and Burger King even tried to put some heat on the guys that fix them, just saying, hey, you're making us look bad. They're like, what do you want us to do? We don't have any more help.
Right.
You know, and that's...
And they probably charge an arm and a leg to do it.
Oh, yeah. That's a crazy part, too, is like when I first kind of started, we didn't have anybody locally here to work on some of our equipment. Our boiler's unique to us. You know, the fryers are a little different. So Goodwin Tucker out of Omaha was who we'd have to use. Well, it's $1,000 to have them show up.
Yeah.
Because of the drive time.
The service,
and then
just as a service call.
Right, as a service call. And then they wouldn't have the part. So they got to come back.
So they do the $1,000 trip,
And
not have anything.
believe it
with
or not, it takes 3 hours to drive from, you know, Omaha
Yeah.
to Norfolk. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Evidently.
you got to stop a few times.
Yeah, evidently.
When you're driving down the road, just think about this, and you see a service truck or a van like that, you're usually flying right by them. Well, yeah, because they're getting paid.
Because they're getting paid
Yeah,
windshield
they're getting
time.
paid for road time.
Now
Yeah.
go drive behind a construction truck and the owner's in it, and you're trying to catch him.
Yeah, they're
So,
moving.
Yeah.
Farmers.
Yeah,
I mean, some farmers.
Nothing really. I'm trying to think. There just isn't anything that like grandiose. I mean, it's
That's
all good stuff.
How has technology like mobile apps or delivery platforms impacted your day-to-day operations? I'm going to guess you're going to say I hate
We're
DoorDash.
really going to go there.
Yeah, let's go there.
I'm guilty of using them. I have them for everything.
I have nothing wrong with using them. It's the problem is there's a huge learning curve, and it's not better yet. So learning curve from the user,
Yeah.
and also for Burger King on how we get them, right? So we just recently transitioned from you'd put your order in, you had to show up to location, tell us it's you, we click the register, it sends it to the kitchen. Well, they want to speed it up. So now on our app, and again, I don't have it on my phone. I got managers that take care because I'm not a technology guy. It drives me crazy. So now what they do is you can set, hey, in 10 minutes, I'm going to be there, and it pops it up before they get there. Well, now your food's sitting here. And in my mind, I'm going,
This
it's
food's
getting
bad.
cold.
Yeah.
Right.
It's getting cold.
Right.
You know, but they said in 10 minutes, I'm going to be there, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, we don't really have, you know, McDonald's goes and puts them on a shelf. We don't have any of that,
Right.
you know? So that part of it, then the other part of it is actually the DoorDash drivers. So if any of you guys have ever had a DoorDash driver and I ran into this in Casey, so it's just, I'm not unique to this. So these guys,
I have like a love-hate relationship with DoorDash drivers,
Oh, yeah.
and it's mostly hate. It's
Yeah.
90% hate.
well, they'll come get food, and we didn't realize training was on me, and I just thought it was pretty simple. Just, okay, you hand them the food, they show you the thing and go. No, we're supposed to make them confirm they picked it up. Well, so we're going to call, and we're like, hey, we didn't get our food. And then we have no local control. They got to get a hold of DoorDash, and that
Yeah.
frustrates people. So I do not.
I didn't have any problem. I've never called a restaurant, but I'll call DoorDash and I'll say
But
this
people
is complete.
call us.
I know
People
some
call
people do.
us,
Because they're
and
not
that's-
trained to realize you can even just message them on the app.
Right,
Like, hey,
right.
DoorDash, or call
So,
them.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I'll do it. I've gotten a little short with DoorDash people before.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
hey, this dude literally said he dropped it off. It is not here.
right. And that's so. But here's what happens: is I get charged for that and it's not there.
Oh, right.
I have no reconciliation. I don't even know if you call and complain and they back it off. So there's a
So
lot of
DoorDash
nightmares
doesn't
to it.
refund you?
No, I actually had to pay extra a month to have Otter, it's called, to reconcile for me because we can't see. Yeah, I don't, I hand it to the person. I'm assuming it's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And then if you call in and complain, they'll take it off. Well, then I don't get paid. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and
I feel like that should be on DoorDash.
what
They
is,
should have to pay you.
can you see the disconnect in the whole thing?
Yeah.
So then the other issue becomes is and I'm not saying anything against people that can't speak English, but we have a huge disconnect there in
Right.
that we're trying to talk to them. So something will happen. So we have the ability, like if my frozen Coke machine were to break or my shake machine, we can go in and make it so they can't order that. Well, we don't always get ahead of that. And
Right.
then you end up,
'Cause it may happen
or
right in the
Hershey
middle.
pies or something that's stupid that goes out,
Something, yeah.
right? So we don't get on there. Well, that driver is able to call you and say, hey, we don't have a cherry Coke because it's on, or we don't have a frozen Coke. We have a frozen cherry because the Coke's on defrost. Would you switch? Or can we get you something different? When they don't speak English, I can't get to that person.
What's crazy? So I've noticed. So Hy-Vee can call me directly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys not
I don't
get?
see any of that.
I wonder what they have different.
They're probably hooked up direct, and I'm dragging my feet because I'm not 100% sold.
So does it
on
cost more?
No, there's no cost, but well, there is a cost. I mean,
Yeah.
So what's crazy is with Uber collects the money, and then they send me check. DoorDash, actually, I get the funds, and then I have to pay DoorDash at the end of the month.
Oh,
So all the tips and everything. Yeah, so they
Like
don't
you collect even the tips and everything.
everything. So
You
I
collect it all?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. So I could show you. I mean, I get an email from DoorDash at the beginning of the next month, and you owe this.
How do you reconcile that?
That's why I had to hire Otter.
So you have
to
a
make
whole
sure
nother-
they weren't screwing me, and I'm not getting screwed on the payout.
Because obviously there's
because they'll tell me what I owe them.
well, of course they will. Anybody will tell you what you owe
Yeah.
them.
I'll tell anybody what I'm
Yeah.
owed. I don't
Jeez,
care.
that's so.
So you can see why.
Yeah,
I
I
went,
get it. I get it. I get it.
From
That's-
from a business owner, you can speak to using it because I don't use it. My kids
So
use
maybe
it.
you're saying
my hatred for it is the drivers.
Yeah.
The non-English speaking drivers.
Yeah.
I do. I'm fine with saying it. I believe you should have to speak English. If you're delivering in an English area, you need to be able to read. If you can't read my clear written instructions, that's kind of where we go back. Like we were talking earlier, like, yeah, I get mad at certain things, but I expect the bare minimum.
Right.
That's all I expect.
Yeah.
You don't have to go. It doesn't have to be
Perfect.
the greatest food
Yep.
ever. You
Yep.
don't have to give me the greatest service. Just do the bare minimum.
Yep.
If I say, please don't put mushrooms on my burger, and you put mushrooms on it, to me, that is the bare minimum. Or if I say, hey, I want my burger medium rare, can you do that? Oh, yeah, we can do that. And you bring me out a well done. I am not going to eat this burger.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say,
you kind of
take
feel
it
like
back.
you feel like my son Mark and Paul. So can I tell a quick story about
Yeah,
these two?
go for
this
it.
is hilarious. So Paul does not like pickles. Mark does not like mustard. Okay. So you guys know Ty Stromquist Outdoors does the bow fishing and stuff. So Mark, hey, Ty's hooking us up. Let's go bow fishing. He's like, okay, let's go. So I'm gonna make some sandwiches, and I make a whole loaf of, ham, roast beef sandwiches. Throw in the cooler. I got a bag of Doritos or two, and throw the, sodas in, and we head up there. And so we kind of dock up, and Mark grabs the sandwiches first and opens one. And I'm not really paying attention, but I see opens another one. Dad, did you put mustard on all these? I'm like, oh shit, you're the one that doesn't like mustard.
you're the one.
Every single one of them slathered in
You got
mustard.
mustard.
Oh my God, he about threw me out of the boat. So he's sitting there eating the chips, chomp, chomp, just growling at me. So I get the, just
Yeah.
there's one thing,
Yeah.
one
That's
thing.
funny.
I don't want mustard. I mean, just no mustard.
Well, that's a little
Dad.
bit different because that's not, he didn't say it to you right away. So I can give you a little bit of credit.
But I can see what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, I got my kids screwed up because I knew they each,
Right.
I won't screw it up again after that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And if I do, it's because I'm just being
just
facetious.
hey, you're not eating today. You're either going to eat what I give you or you're not going to
Yeah.
eat. That's my
So what you're kind of telling us today, though, is that to use Uber Eats over DoorDash. That's kind of what you're saying.
But we don't have any Uber people in
I
town.
thought a lot of them did both. Or you probably can't contract with both.
I think they can, but they're just, for whatever reason, people use DoorDash. I mean, I might have, because I get my weekly numbers.
But you get Uber Eats ones?
Yeah. But I might have 3 a week on Benjamin, and I might get 6 or 7 on 13th Street.
I might have to just download it and try it.
I've never used it.
Yeah. There's a lot of times there's nobody available.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not as many drivers.
Mm-hmm. Jay Kenobi had a cow. He comes in the store. He's like, "Why are those guys sitting under the tree over there? Back by the dumpster." Right?
Yeah.
These guys, they leave and then they come back. I think they're selling drugs.
No.
Troy, I think they're selling drugs.
They're
They're
waiting
selling
for an
drugs by
order.
your dumpster.
I'm like, so of course, walk over there. They don't speak English. This has been when they first started doing it, right? And I walk over there and I said, "You guys okay?" Like, yeah. I said, "What are you doing?" He's, "Oh, DoorDash." And I'm like, "Oh." So I went and told Jay, "Hey, dude, they're delivery drivers."
Right.
You guys ever talk to Jay Kenobi?
Yeah. I've talked to him.
Everything's big with Jay, which is awesome.
Until
I love Jay.
he's
Yeah, and then he's like,
yeah.
"Okay, good." But he did. He come over and like, "Troy, I don't know what they're doing over there, but they keep going and coming and going and coming."
He's probably. Are you part of the operation?
Yeah.
In his defense, some of them don't have the greatest vehicles.
No,
either, so
I agree.
It's very clear.
It was very
that's
suspicious.
a clientele that
because I'm like, "Jay, should we call the cops?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think we should call the cops." I'm like, "Jay, no, let's just walk. I'll walk over and ask him." Okay,
talk to us first.
I also know that like Walmart, when they don't have enough drivers for their deliveries, they use the DoorDash drivers to do it. Which
that's
is
where you
kind
see all over Facebook. "Hey, did you get a DoorDash?" And,
yeah. Or you see that the order was messed up in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually pretty good Walmart drivers, I will say, for the most part.
Yeah.
It's usually people that are just needing a side job type of thing.
Like they're contracted through Walmart specifically.
Yeah.
And those are usually pretty good. Usually.
Right.
The DoorDash one's a little sketch sometimes, but and then it's good to find out that it's not maybe the greatest.
Well, it's just
it's good to find out that the restaurants have the same feeling that some of the users are getting the same feeling.
Yeah, because it's the technology moved faster than the people behind it, I think, is what happened. I mean, it took off, and you got to have a good support crew if you're going to do that right. And the thing that, like I said, the thing I hate the worst is they call and yell at us about something we have no control over.
Right.
I mean, I didn't control that driver didn't come to your house. What we did figure out, though, is we can make them click that it was received.
Right.
Then they're screwed.
Because
then I get paid. That's on them.
Right.
But see, we weren't aware. That was on me because I probably was half asleep during the webcast that Burger King talked about the directions, which hence why I need to have a above restaurant leader that's supposed to do my job and will do it better than me, which is going to happen soon. But so once we figured that out, we actually had drivers that walked out. They would not click the button.
Just because they didn't want to be responsible.
Or they wanted to take my food.
Or take the food, yeah.
So it gets messy.
Interesting.
And what's funny,
did they leave with the food? Or
no,
you wouldn't
we wouldn't
give
let
them
them.
the food?
We wouldn't let them have it. We make them show us the phone and click that
That's the way it should
they picked
go.
it up. Absolutely. Yeah, There's needs to be some accountability on their part. Yeah. We had, so Nucor can't get away out there, right? So Nucor allows them to have food brought to the guard shack, and then they can run up the guard shack and get it. And I don't know, this guy ordered like $60 worth of food. And he got a picture from the DoorDash driver of the shack saying she delivered, and she never delivered.
Oh my God.
And I don't have an easy way to track down my driver.
Right.
I mean, I don't even have a good way to go in the system instantly and see who that was. So I ended up, we made food and ran it out there for him.
Wow.
And it's $60. I mean, those are the things I'm talking about being a local person.
Right.
My manager calls me. He's like, "Man, this guy's calling the store. He's blowing my phone up." I said, "Well, give me the number." I called him. And he was nice. Again, wasn't, he knew DoorDash was in the middle of that, wasn't getting screamed at. And I said, "Guy, we're gonna send you food. Let's just give me a minute." I went and got it and took it out to him.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
See, that's the local.
That's
flair.
what's funny is I'll be at the store and it's like, "Hey, you shorted me a 4-piece nugget. My kid's not going to get to eat now." I said, "Where do you live?" "Well, I'm over at 1203 South 2nd Street." "I'll be right there." "What?" "Yeah, I'll be right there."
Yeah.
Grab it, throw it in, grab a Hershey pie, run over and drop it off. And they're like, "You the owner?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
A
lot of times they're just looking for a free meal out of the deal.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
We used to just be here, take it. Now it's got somewhat of a system of well, do you have your receipt? And honestly, I want to know.
Right.
You know?
Well, there's a lot of times I've always felt like I've never really called on, like if I've got home and I don't have them from any restaurant,
Right.
any Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, whatever,
Right.
I'll just get home and be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I should have checked it when I left.
Right.
But I didn't get it. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to call because I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to make them think that I'm just trying to score a free meal. And just, whatever.
But the advice that I would give is especially if you're calling my store, make sure your receipt. We put a receipt on every bag. I mean, because that's how we pick it up. I know it's there.
Right.
So it's got a number. We can go back like 40 orders on a register. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is, hey, what's the ticket number on your ticket? Oh, it's 85. So I'll go back. Okay, what's on your ticket? And they'll start reading. And it's like either it doesn't match up at all or what they got forgotten, we didn't catch. So generally then I blame it on my order taker for not paying attention.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We did not see how your receipt doesn't show that Whopper. You weren't charged for it, you know?
Right.
So there does become a certain point of, I actually fed somebody, they come from Yankton, told me that Yankton screwed up their order. And I mean, it's not, again, I feel when I'm and this is part of the remodel process.
Mm-hmm.
Burger King's trying to up our image across the board. So they offered some remodel incentive money, was part of the reason, rather than just doing an image upgrade, because that's what I'm going to do on Benjamin. And it's just signs and paint and some minor things that I have to do. Where on 13th Street, I did a full-blown remodel. And it becomes an image thing, right? So if you go to Columbus, or you live in Columbus, and Burger King's terrible restaurant, doesn't look good, people aren't friendly. When you come to Norfolk, you're probably not going to Burger King.
No.
Right? Because
Right.
you're just going to associate me with them,
Right.
but we're the same way. Or if you're coming from Missouri, or, you know, I do have people that come from Columbus that are like texting me all the time, my friends, and I just love it when we get to, you know, so I like it that they're
Norfolk.
bad because they'll come here.
Yeah.
The other thing that's funny is like people from O'Neill that I know, they'll be in Norfolk. Say, man, you need to put a Burger King in O'Neill. And we got a Dairy Queen, and we got Taco John's, and we got this, and we got this. And I'm like, where are you standing? Well, I'm at Burger King. If I had a Burger King in O'Neill, where would you be eating? Well, probably not here.
Right.
You know, and it's one of those small markets. And I deal with that on Benjamin's location. I mean, it's very low volume. We've just never been able to, it's us and McDonald's. Well, you can get that on 13th Street.
Right.
So I've been taking money on 13th Street, and they'll have 3 different food places in line to get mine. So I always thought when it developed southeast of the college, I'm like, God, that's just going to be like a gateway right to us.
Mhm.
They all go south and get down 13th Street, and that's because we haven't moved in sales forever.
That's where I go. If I'm going to go to get that, like if we're going to Burger King, I go to the Benjamin.
Well, yeah, it's a straight shot for Benjamin here rather than have to fight all the traffic down.
That's what I
13th
mean.
Street.
I just don't know why
And
people up here and people down by the college.
There's two different feels actually, in a sense, is because it's not as busy. It's kind of that local hometown feel.
Yeah.
You know, that it's a more of a family style.
I love going through the drive-thru over there because I've never had bad service at that location.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. That's good. Awesome.
Yeah.
But that's just the two differences. I mean, 13th Street does almost double. Actually, last year did more than double. Part of that was COVID hit. I mean, we could talk a whole mess about what COVID did.
It's on the list.
Okay, we'll wait for that then. But it's. I ran Benjamin when Todd and I were doing it. My mom was owning them before we got to buy in. And running a low volume restaurant is way harder because just to turn the lights on in operations, same dollar amount, same stores. They tell us in Burger King that you got to do about 1.3, 1.4 to really start making any money. We did 800,000 over there last year.
Wow.
So it's almost like we're over there for practice.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I've got 7 years left on that franchise agreement. I don't know if I'm going to renew it.
Does it pick up during the school year? Like with the kids?
It does. Well, it's the crazy part. I mean, we actually get more staff from Northeast College than I do college students.
What about like the kids from the middle school that maybe
you can come in and referee on Wednesdays? It's bad. I've had phone calls from moms because we've had to kick kids out.
I'm sure. I'm sure it's bad. I just because there's probably no sale. He's probably not getting any sales out of it.
Not any sales, and we're a daycare for an hour and a half till the normal
Somebody
time when
comes and
people
picks
pick them
them
up. I had a lady call me. I was up helping my cousin. He's got ground up in Knox County where I grew up, and was up helping him. I don't know what we were doing, if we were fixing fence or spraying thistles. We were doing something, and it was probably fixing fence. Maybe we were hunting, because it would have been in the fall. Had a mom call me. She was upset. My manager gave her my number, or she found it online. And she's just, my son would never do that. And he's so quiet and to himself. And I said, well, why Wednesday? Why let him pick the day? I said, can you pick a different day? With it getting out early, all those kids come down there. Never heard from her again. So I'm guessing he got a different day and he was fine. But he gets lumped in,
Right.
And oh yeah, they've broken lights, they jump over
sure.
booze.
That's why I won't let my son was going there. I said, you're never walking down to those places, because I knew what it was like. I knew it was going to be like. I knew it was
the
going to be horrible.
YMCA won't let them in either if they're not members,
right?
Because they ran into the same issues. So it's just unfortunate of the respect. I mean,
it's lacking in the.
I would love to have them sit in there. I don't care if they sit there and don't buy a thing. Just be respectful,
right?
They'll ask for water cups, and the next thing you know, they're out there and they got yellow water.
Yeah.
What is
What'd
that?
you do? Pee in the cup?
Yeah, exactly. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I have no problem with those kids sitting in there and talking and getting out schoolwork and doing stuff, but generally that's not what happens.
I always told my son, if you do go, you're buying something. So you better make sure you have money.
Right.
Like you're not going to be a patron in a restaurant.
Even if it's a value French fry, I don't care for $1.
Yeah. Buy something and then be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have to take a quick break.
Okay.
I got to pee. It's normal. Hey, I'm making it an hour and a half instead of making it just an hour now.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. All right. We're back. The movie magic makes it all nice and
just like we weren't even gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Where'd you go?
Nowhere. We were gone for 20 minutes. Kind of getting back into it. What's one thing you wish the customers knew about the effort that goes into running a Burger King franchise?
I think the biggest thing is, and I tell people this all the time, is everybody thinks it's easy. And, I could do that job. And I've had friends that I'm like, I'll give you $100. Just come work from 12 to 1. And the amount of preparation and knowing, I mean, we have what, probably 30 different ingredients you can put on a sandwich, the way you can build them. We probably have 20 different sandwiches. I mean, there's so much to know. And I mean, it's a process. I mean, we have videos that Burger King puts out for training videos. Got to set them down. You got to do it on the floor. I mean, it's a whole process. It's a 90-day process when we onboard somebody to get them through. So it's a big process. So I think that's where, and it's anywhere you go. I mean, you need to be patient. And I think I have buttons available that I'm new, that you can put on the upfront register people. This is funny. I'll go in and try and take an order, and the technology of that I just hate, because there's layers, right? So you got to go to different layers to find things.
How do I find to take these off?
Right. So I got to hit breakfast, and then I got to go over here to find the biscuits, and then I got to find the sausage, and so
and it's like, oh shoot, they said no. So this and
the customer's standing there, and I know I'm taking forever. I'll look at them like, I'm sorry, it's my first day. Oh, and they're like, oh, it's okay. And my manager will shake her head, and she's like, it is not his first day. I just don't do the register.
Right.
So that's probably the appreciation is it's not as easy or simple as what one would think looking at it. And if it looks easy and simple, it's because they've been doing it a long time.
Well, that has become such a complex business. You're talking about the registers and and all the different aspects and all the menu items. You think maybe back in the day it was a little easier. You're doing what were the items back when you first took over?
Super simple.
That's what I mean.
Super simple.
You're selling Whoppers.
I would love to be an In-N-Out burger.
Right.
I mean, let's get simple.
Or even like a Raising Cane's. You're just selling chicken tenders.
Yeah. I mean, that's genius.
Right.
Let's put it on bread. Let's do that.
Let's take what we have and put it on
that product. And it makes it simpler and easier. I mean, there was a day we were doing dinner baskets. Oh yeah. At supper time we go put checkered tablecloths over the tables. We served baked potatoes. Had popcorn.
When was this?
Oh, it had to be in the late 90s.
Holy, really?
Oh yeah. It was this whole. We had a CEO that was just out there in the marketing department. He let him go. And so, I mean, we did the pork fritter, and I mean, it come out in a basket with the paper in it, and I mean, it was like shifting a whole different gear of how everything had to look. And
Yeah.
it wasn't wrapped in a wrap, and yeah, it was all presented like it was a dinner thing, you know. And we were selling Snickers, frozen Snicker candy bars, and they've been all over the place. I mean, I've been around long enough to see crazy.
What's your favorite era then? If we're talking menus, like what's your favorite era of?
You know, I think
menu?
right now I'm pretty impressed with where we're going and what we're doing. Probably 4 years ago, we hired the CEO that was at Domino's, and I like his philosophy and a few reasons why. They did 3 years ago put a limit saying you can't own more than 50 stores.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yeah, so because what happens is you just get so diluted when you own so many that you can't control them.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 still, in my opinion, too many.
Right.
I would rather see. Here's
Cut that in half, maybe.
But here, I also see it from the corporation standpoint. If you've got one guy that owns 500 restaurants, he's got a lot of control over your sales.
Right.
And when he says, "No, I don't want to remodel," what are you doing to him?
Right.
And he's probably got a lot of money to fight you, his own attorney.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, where I'm getting pushed on this, and I'll guarantee you they take my franchise if I didn't remodel.
Right.
You know, because I have two.
Burger King knows what's up. They're like,
right. I have
we can't
two.
let
So
you get
we
too
need
powerful.
to shrink this down and create more franchisees. And in turn, I think there's more care, and you're able to control your business. I would love to see them be 10.
Right.
You know, and give more people opportunities to own them. So, what was the question?
The original
favorite era.
Oh, favorite era of the menu.
Yeah. So I would say we're going to put brisket on a Whopper. It's coming up.
Really?
Crispy onions.
I definitely will eat that.
Briskets. It's
100%.
going to have cheese and brisket and crispy onions.
I will
Sounds really
say,
good.
you need to get Burger King needs to get away from this Impossible Whopper shit. Like it's got to go.
You know what?
I skipped that.
You know how many,
I skipped that question actually.
well, no, but you know how many I sell?
How many?
So I sell probably at 13th Street right now. Even being slow, we're probably selling 3 cases of Whoppers a day. You know how many Impossible Whopper cases I sell? It takes me 2 weeks to go through one case, and there's the same case count in them. 132 in a case. It's
And you
ridiculous.
still selling that
producer,
many?
I
agree.
I hate them.
I agree.
It took me I'll be totally honest, when Burger King came out with that,
you're not
I
alone.
got away from Burger King.
I
said I was not going to do it.
All my beef producing friends. And you know what's crazy though is on the East and West Coast, we had Burger Kings in the red, and that pulled them out because of where they're at with this
Because
diet.
they started eating them.
But it's
I came back obviously because the food's good. But
they actually started because they committed to X amount when they first rolled them out. They were force shipping them to us. I was throwing them away.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
And then they finally wheeled back. The case counts. Actually,
Did they know where they were sending them?
Actually, there's half as many in the case. When we first
so
rolled
it's
out,
not even the same size of case.
No, there's half as many. There's half of 132.
Yeah.
I got Battle Creek math. I'm not doing it. My math teacher.
Hey,
sorry, Wayne McCormick.
I didn't have Wayne McCormick. I had all day.
My mother-in-law was a junior high teacher. I never had her math teacher. So, but yeah, so there's half as many, and it takes us 2 weeks to go through a case. So we're not selling them. It's not, and they do everything to try the coupons.
They push them.
And you know what's crazy? You know what it cost me for a patty compared to a Whopper? It's $1 more.
I'm sure it is.
It's $1 more.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
And
That's wild.
here's the deal. You don't want to eat beef, then why do they put beet juice in it so it looks like meat?
Right.
They make it they want it to taste like beef. They want it to look like beef.
Yeah.
But it's not
You don't
beef.
want to eat beef.
Come on, people.
And it's not healthy.
Just eat
I don't
beef.
care what
Oh,
anybody
no,
says.
there's
it's
so many
not
chemicals
healthy
in it.
for you.
So
Yeah.
many chemicals.
What about like the promotions that you guys do
Hmm?
that are short term, like the new the dragon,
the LTOs, the limited time offers.
yeah, like the
LTOs.
new dragon. Is that still going on? The dragon,
Yeah,
movie.
that's wrapping up. I think the end of this week, and then we go into the brisket.
Okay.
So they usually have stuff around about 2 months, and they come up with the next and the next, and
Is that difficult to manage?
oh yeah, because we already have the product. So Suzanne being the accountant doing our books, I'm pretty specific on our truck orders. Here's your limit, what you can order up to based on your sales and knowing where we want food costs to be. So that helps me know if I got an issue with somebody stealing money.
Yeah.
And it happens because we're a cash business, right? So all of a sudden I got $500 extra on an order. Well, it's like, oh, they force shipped the brisket,
They sent it to you ahead of time.
yeah, the crispy onions, and then I get another. And the tough part right now is they're basing it off my sales when I was full boat, not being shut down for a remodel,
Right.
just having the drive-through.
So now
So
you're
I'm
getting all
just
this product.
So maybe I'll have some brisket left for you.
Yeah, that works too. I mean, I'm
So
open
yeah,
to it.
it's challenging.
Yeah.
And then it's freezer space.
Right.
And that's where I've complained as much as I can, and nobody really listens. But it's with the amount of SKUs we have for product and trying to place it.
Right.
13th Street, where our walk-in freezer are big. I have an outside one, outside in our dry storage that we have in that building. That's an extra freezer because I can't hold all the fries that we go through.
Hold it all.
Yeah,
I still love a Burger King fry. That's probably one of my favorite
I
fries.
like them when they're fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Well, definitely fresh, but
they made us buy. Gosh, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. It used to just be a heating element that come up through the bottom. It actually now is a fan that blows underneath there to blow the hot air. So
Oh, really?
yeah, they stay hotter longer. But you're right. I mean, we don't. Well, and it's a catch-22, right? So we try and make everything to order as much as possible anymore with the volume we do. But back in the day when we were super busy, you keep 12 Whoppers out. Well, there'd be days it wouldn't be busy, and now I got to throw 12 Whoppers away because they were only good for 10 minutes sitting there because we wanted to still be hot to you, right?
right.
Or we're holding meat in the back and it's good for 40 minutes, and now we push an hour. I'm throwing a whole pan of Whoppers away. I mean, that's $5-6, So that's where you get in that catch-22 fries the same way. Oh, 6 people walked in, and only 6 people walked in, and in my philosophy, we need to anticipate. You don't want to react in fast food.
So you throw fries down.
So you throw fries down, and now you got 3 baskets come up, and 2 people ordered fries.
Right.
So yeah, it's that waste bubble, and it's tight.
I have noticed that with you guys because when you go to order chicken, if it's slow at the restaurant,
You're gonna wait.
You're waiting for chicken.
That
Which is
crispy
fine.
chicken. When he
I'm fine with it.
probably doesn't eat
bother
chicken
me.
either. Yeah.
Every once in a while, the original chicken sandwich.
Oh yeah, that's
I've had that.
that thing's a cash.
I've kind
cow
of
for
grown
me.
up on that thing.
It's a good
Yeah.
one.
Everybody's like,
Cut in
I will
half.
kill you if you take away the
Yeah.
original chicken. I will kill
Didn't
you.
they take it away for a while?
No, they've never taken it away, but they've promoted the crispy chicken. Matter of fact, when RBI is our parent company, so that's real quick with the Benjamin location.
Yeah.
What I'd love to do, and I'm still working on them, but I'm talking to the wrong people. I need to talk to RBI, our parent company, but they own Popeye's Chicken and Firehouse Sub.
I want a
just-
Popeyes so bad.
You just
I am on
about
that
made
boat.
him
So,
explode.
so I want to convert that to one of those two. when I-
Popeyes.
gotcha.
We don't
Yeah.
need a Firehouse Subs. We need Popeyes.
Okay, Popeyes it is.
Popeyes.
But here's what's funny. So here 2 years ago, I had to buy $5,000 worth of equipment in both stores that we were making Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Really?
We were double hand breading chicken sandwiches.
I
Basically cook them to
I'm not
order.
a sandwich guy. I'm the spicy
Spicy
chicken.
chicken. Okay.
I
Yeah.
want the spicy, like the
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah.
chicken
Okay. Well,
spicy.
You were
I'll
doing
shift
that in
yours.
store?
Yeah. We were hand breading them.
Why didn't they say that? That's what.
They did. Nobody cared.
I don't remember
We
that.
didn't say it was.
remember
They
that.
didn't say it was Popeyes, but they were saying
No,
hand
but
breaded.
I don't remember. Well, they probably didn't believe it.
Right. And it was
If
was
I'm being
amazing.
honest, they probably just
it
didn't
was
believe it.
amazing, but
I never had it.
nobody tried it.
So
So
it's-
we
I never tried it.
So they hung in there for about a year and then walked away and went back to the frozen patty.
Hmm.
And there's not a lot of difference, but it's
There's
big.
a big difference.
It's a huge difference, in my opinion.
And it was kind of closer to what a Chick-fil-A would have been,
Yeah.
is the way it was coming.
Yeah.
The problem is Chick-fil-A will let those set a little bit so they soften up. I mean, I'd tear my mouth up with the crispiness of that chicken.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it was double breaded. I mean,
right.
yeah.
That's
So-
crazy.
But yeah, favorite area would be.
Right now.
I think we're right now we're probably in the best position with marketing, and our CEO has got his head on straight. The worst would probably have been 20 years ago, right around 2000. We were publicly traded at the time. We had a CEO that was pounding his chest that we've had 16 consecutive quarters of increased sales. Well, how he was doing it is we went to $1 double cheeseburger. I was losing a nickel on every sandwich. So you come in and you're a double Whopper with cheese, large size. They come in and order 3 double cheeseburgers instead of a double Whopper. I mean, I was going backwards in sales, losing our ass, and he didn't care because traffic wise, it was drawing people in and going up. Well, he come up on his year anniversary of that. You know what he did? He said, okay, all restaurants are staying open till 2 a.m. Well, what's that do to increase sales, right?
Right.
Your sales go up because we didn't have anything to go against. So he come up a year on that. And then that's when RBI bought and kind of switched things. And that was a big deal because back before that, we were able to use any register system we wanted. And we had to report our sales, right? So there's a lot of trust.
Yeah.
RBI come in and they ended up paying a little more than they probably should have to get it out to publicly trade it and make it private again. And so they come in and they gave us 2 choices of registers and they were all IP driven. So instantly could see they made it the MISE that we want to keep track of inventory and make sure you have enough product and we're forecasting right. No, you were trying to make sure you're getting every dime, because in a cash business, who knows,
Right.
So it's 30 grand on a new register system and, just blah, 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 blah. So, but yeah, that was probably the worst.
Was that dollar double cheeseburger? That was like to compete with McDonald's.
Because
that's when McDonald's had the dollar McChicken, dollar double cheeseburgers.
Yep.
Do you see? So, what is the value menu now? I haven't been to one of the value menu places in a while.
Everything's closer to $2 on
That's
ours.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
And I talked to you a little off air on that. I mean, it's just insane.
Well, the cost of things has gone up so much.
Just pop. Pop used to be a huge money maker. I mean, 10 years ago, 5-gallon bag in the box cost me $60. It's $130 now. And I'm getting the same quantity.
That's crazy.
And my prices haven't moved 50%.
Right.
Right. So there's things.
Are people buying less pop? Because I think I find myself buying less pop or smaller versions of a pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
at a fast food restaurant.
My definitely my pop's down. I can tell you that.
Because I'll do like a tea or a water. Like
I haven't drank pop in so long. We brew tea, so it's good tea.
It's good. I do. Usually if I go, so I guess it's the same price, but
yeah,
I will buy. Generally, I'll get if I'm in the restaurant, I'm getting tea.
Yep, I'm a tea guy.
I'm getting tea or I'm getting a zero pop of some kind. Usually,
Coke Zero is so bad. I can drink a Pepsi Zero, but I can't drink.
Yeah. I'm not a Coke Zero guy. I'm a Dr. Pepper Zero guy.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Bob at Mahaska, the Pepsi guy here in town, just every, 10 years ago. I mean, I'd see him every other week. And like, you need to switch to Bob. I don't have any control over it.
I was going to say, you can't choose, right? Yeah. It's a franchise deal. Yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
Well, there's kickbacks and this and that.
Well, it's a whole corporation deal. Yeah.
And also RBI owns 50% of Heinz ketchup, by the way.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, imagine that.
Guess
what we use?
Yeah, Heinz
ketchup.
Yeah, interesting. So let's get into. You and I kind of talked a little bit off air on this, and I made sure you were comfortable with talking about it. But let's talk about the devastating U.S. bank shooting day and how did that affect you and your business the day that happened.
Honestly, it was kind of crazy because I posted a picture on Facebook, and we in the remodel we took the pane of glass out that actually had a bullet catch it. And that day, Donna Swiger was working the drive-through, and she didn't even know what happened. She was so busy that it was right at 8 o'clock.
It was busy, yeah.
Or 8:30.
Sure, the line was
full
busy.
For right. So we're very fortunate nobody was hurt. But I mean, I think it was all done and they were gone before we even realized it happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it impacted employees until after the fact, and then it was just like everybody else. You said you were in junior high. I mean, it was a big deal because they probably locked school down or tried to. And
they did.
Yeah. And so, the biggest thing is.
And then mom was down the street from you.
Yeah.
So they locked all of, I think everybody down 13th Street locked their doors or they were told to.
Right. But it happened
the
so
police
fast.
Station, didn't the police station call every
I think they moved. Yeah. Yes.
And say lock your doors, especially car lots or whatever.
Yeah. Just till they could figure out where they were. So yeah, it definitely is a time and a moment in time that'll stick out in so many people's minds and devastating loss and for no reason.
100%.
That's the unfortunate thing. And had friends that were in there and people I knew and somebody that actually grew up in Nibura that used to babysit me and. It's a bad deal.
We kind of talked about there's one survivor left in town still.
Yeah, I knew her. Just found out. I didn't know him at the time, and And the gal, it was his sister, I believe he said, that she was walking in and then saw it and ran out, and they chased her out.
That's wild.
And that's who they would have been shooting at, that I caught the stray bullet.
Right.
So, yeah.
Such a crazy story.
Yeah. And so I don't know that, I have that pane of glass, and it's a catch-22 in the fact that it's bad to see a bullet. How do you memorialize it? And so I did have Livy from the museum, Elkhorn Valley Museum, reach out. They have a whole file on it. And she didn't realize that was 2002. It's been 23 years.
It's a long time.
And it just seems like yesterday almost, right? So I am going to take and probably make a 6x6 piece of glass out of that, not make it so big, and give it to the museum and let them.
It's a good idea.
Let them keep it on file. And I said, it'd be really cool to do something, because they have articles and different things. Reach out to the families, and
I'd like to do a document. That's one of my. I'm releasing something right now, but I'd like to do a documentary on the whole thing at some point.
Documentaries are cool.
They are, and I've always loved them. I watch them all the time, and you don't get to have a whole lot of things that happen in your own city, especially in Norfolk. There's not a whole lot that goes down, but that's a big one.
You want to watch a good one? Have you watched Ours for Big Bang Boom?
I have.
It's awesome.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
So that kind of makes me perk up. I mean, that'd be really cool to pull it all together, and
I'd like to
bring the whole pieces and leading up to, and
if I could figure it out,
and really honor the families that were affected.
So I knew a few. I've got a few of the. I know some of the children of the people that were killed.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
How they've come through it and where they're at.
Yeah.
And how they remember it.
Yeah.
No,
sad story.
Tough moment, and it's fortunately they were caught. And now for my county commissioner position, this many years later, we still have one guy that still fights, and he finds a judge in another state that's against the death penalty, and they get a court-appointed attorney, and we see bills, and it's just frustrating. So
it should be. Yeah, I'd be frustrated.
Yeah, because it's like our tax dollars are going to defend somebody that, you're dead to rights on this deal.
Yeah, through all these years, it's crazy to think that's wild. The other question I had until we get to the COVID stuff is: were you affected? Did the 2008 crash affect business at all? I know I wasn't. I know it affected the car business, and that's the only thing I can think about.
Honestly,
is mom's
I'm going
business.
to tell you no, just from the simple fact we had the money to do the Burger Point commercials.
Yeah, I suppose.
And actually, what's crazy is gas prices go up, our sales go up. You know why? Because people didn't run to Omaha. They had to stay close. They weren't traveling, so they're eating here. And that's one of my biggest fears. And I don't go around and promote this with going 4-lane to Omaha. I really feel like our town's going to turn unless we step up on the retail side.
I have said this since day one. I've been against it because I said it's taking money out of the area.
Yeah, it's taking our sales. It's going to take our sales tax dollars away. It's going to be too easy to get to Omaha. Now, Mike Flood will argue the other way, and he feels like those people will come to us. Well, not if we don't have some. The Riverwalk's going to help. In being involved in some of the things that I'm in, that thing's drawing attention across the country because it is unique. But I really feel like we're going to see more. We used to, back to school, that was some of our busiest times in August. And you can go to Walmart, Target, and people are going to Omaha, so.
Or they're not even, you're just getting it
Sioux
online
City,
now.
Online's even worse. Yeah.
But yeah, I've said that. I told every single, when we did our Meet the Candidate series, I told every single county or city council guy, I brought it up. I said, I think it's a bad idea. I love it because I can get to Omaha real fast.
From the standpoint of trying to do business and have companies that want to be able to get to an interstate, I'm 100%.
Yep.
But it's also the demise if they ever bypass Norfolk up 275, or up 81 and go around town. It's a death wish.
Wouldn't it make more sense to put in and I know it's been talked about, put in a better airfield than to do a 4-lane highway
for airport?
Yeah, for business.
We're working on it.
That's what I'm saying. It's been talked about. But isn't that a better solution?
Yeah. And people don't realize how much the airport now already supports our big businesses.
Some big private jets.
Well,
or some big companies
but
use that airfield.
Right.
Yeah.
So what happens is CIE isn't owned locally, and those guys come from Indiana and are able to fly out here, spend 3 days, fly back.
Menards
rather
use,
drive
flies in
Menards.
and out.
The crush
Nim,
plant,
obviously, the crush plant.
Nucor.
Nucor's got jets.
Yeah.
What doesn't UPS and FedEx?
They fly in and out of there to bring overnight stuff. Yeah.
Oh, do they? I
yeah,
guess I
because
never knew
that was a plane that wrecked last year.
Oh, it was. I
was a
did
UPS
remember
jet,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
It was a
so-
UPS, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just not the private guys, and so the thought behind that is to grow that base of who pays or how it pays, and we all pay a little bit to get it, so we can get it. Then the next step is if we can get to there. I wasn't overly impressed that they wanted to make this grandiose,
Like a big hangar thing.
well, whatever you want to call
Or not hangar,
the
terminal.
terminal, yeah. And so
For businesses, basically.
well, just more or less place for the pilots to hang out over.
Right.
We don't have anything really nice now if you've been out there. It's
I
Ted
bet
Fisher's
if-
flown in, Ricketts flown in, and you go out and you're in basically the mechanic shop. to
Well,
talk to them.
right.
So I get you want something more nicer, but millions and millions of dollars on a building is premature at this point.
Right.
We need to upgrade what we're doing
Capabilities and all
for
that
the
other stuff.
jets and those kinds of things, and then work into that. I would love to see the service. When I interviewed with Paul Hughes, they flew me up to Minneapolis, Minnesota Mutual, and I flew out of a commercial plane out of Norfolk to Minneapolis.
So there used to be commercial planes
Right.
coming out of there.
But what happens is you don't have enough use,
Yeah.
so the subsidy goes away because those guys are all subsidized.
Right.
Even in Omaha, they're subsidized to make it work, and so you lose your subsidy, so you lose your plane.
What about like if we got it big enough for business use, would a company like Allegiant?
I would think that that's where we could go with it. And we put another 5,000 people in Norfolk. There's going to be people that would use it even. I mean, look at Grand Island. They got a straight flight to Vegas.
That's what I mean. So and it's Allegiant.
Yeah. So to bring something like
And
that
it's
in would
nothing
be
fancy.
huge. Yeah.
Flying
No,
out of there.
no.
I've flown out of there before.
But it was kind of sad that it kind of the ball got dropped. There was $5 million of federal money that could have been put into that. And here's what you run into though is the airport authority does the best that they can, but it's not their full-time job. Their manager out there doesn't necessarily be able to go from A, B, C in the process. So I think there's just was some things dropped and assumed that would happen and couldn't happen. So deadlines run out, and that's kind of what happened. So, but I think the airport needs to have some uplift.
Facebook would say otherwise.
No, and that's because of the tax money. That's
Yeah.
that's the tax money part of
Yeah.
it, and I get that. So
I do think we're in a conundrum now that spending's hard. Like we got to
Mhm.
stop. I don't know where you decide where you spend and where you don't spend. Like
Right.
I'm of the mindset like just stop spending. Like I just
Yeah.
don't care. Like it's rough, but
well,
until we figure something out. But
and the problem is when you stop spending, we need the personnel. I mean, to at least at the county level to be in those offices. So you're kind of stuck unless you want me to go down from 6 people in the treasurer's office to 3. You're going to stand there
Yeah.
for hours, right?
well, that's my point.
So
Like,
that's the conundrum.
I'm talking on it like on the because we've talked about it on our other podcast. Everybody's don't take my benefit. Don't
Right.
take my benefits.
Right.
Don't take my
Right.
benefits. I think
Right.
we all got to stop taking benefits. We got to give up some benefits.
And that's where, I mean, kind of off topic again, but the county average valuation increase was 11% last year. I worked it so that we lowered our levy 10.85%. So you paid 0.15% more. And if you had an increase, the prior year I had a 8% increase on my home. So I had a 2% savings. When I added up my taxes, I saved $464. I was in the reappraisal area this year, so I had a 26% increase. If our average is 11, we're able to lower the levy to match the valuation increase. I'm still going to see a 15% increase.
Right.
So that's the conundrum you get into
Yeah.
that, So it's really in our budget, it comes down to the road budget because really
Well, it's
everything
even
else
more
is
than-
operations,
a lot of people think that's what most of your taxes go to schools.
Yeah, and that's I had some conversations. I mean, we can get way off basis here.
That's for another podcast.
Okay, yeah, and it's like, well, wait, I pay all these taxes. I'm like,
It
let's
goes
hold
to the
on.
schools.
Let's hold on here. 20% of your taxes come to the county. 20% of that goes to your road that you're complaining about.
Yeah.
Because he had it figured out how much on a road based on quarters of what was being paid,
Oh,
and he
gotcha,
wasn't
yeah.
wrong. But it worked out to about $2,500 was going to that road. Well, you're not putting $2,500 in gravel. And I'm just like, sir, do you own equipment? Like farm equipment? He said, yeah. Do you repair
much
your farm
fuel?
equipment? Do you repair your farm equipment? I said, we own we own 22 or 23 road graders, just road graders, tires, this, that. Right. So then he's like, oh, So that's Governor and I go round and round. I'm on the NACO board, Nebraska Association of County Officials, and we get an hour a month with him. And after last year's fiasco with putting the cap on us and using Slice, which was stupid because I could raise your taxes 7% this year based on their mindset of what they did to us, because Slice was 5.12% last year. And then the real growth, which were usually around 2%. So I always asked the governor, I said, the real elephant in the room is the schools. How are we going to address that?
Right.
And his
nobody wants to fight the schools though.
Well, but his thought process, and he doesn't want to fight with schools, but he feels like the staff and benefits, the payroll and the benefits should be the state's responsibility. It's in the Constitution. They're supposed to pay for
the staff of
the schools.
Oh, yeah.
So the administration and the staff, the teachers should be paid by the state. We locally should be responsible for our buildings and grounds. You want a new football stadium? You should have to pay for that locally. You want a new school? You should have to pay for that locally. The problem becomes is when he goes to try and pay for it, what he wants to do is remove sales tax exemptions, create more tax to offset. And then so they would basically cover 65%. If they would take 65% of schools from the state's budget and we take that off levies, we would look more like everybody else in the country when it comes to property taxes. And we get it in smaller pieces. We're still going to pay it, but it's in smaller pieces. And you can choose if you want to spend money. Right. Way off topic again. Sorry.
No, it is. Don't be sorry. I love it.
That's why I said when we started this, dude, we can go a lot of ways.
Well, that's why I said we got to do 2 of these because
I know
we could go a whole nother 2 hours on just the county commission side. So
yeah, we could do one on volunteering and
we could do that too,
dude. Yeah.
So now you did mention COVID earlier. Yep. So how did you manage the pandemic? Walk us through the ups and downs of that and what that did for you.
Well, super frustrating with that, in that I just feel like a lot of things were out of our control for everybody, but it really pushed down into the restaurants. I mean, it was real. My wife spent 28 days in the hospital and almost died. So, I mean, it hit us hard, and so, we went from wearing masks to now we're closing the dining rooms. We're only drive-through, and a lot of sit-down restaurants had to close. And then coming back out of it when the numbers, started decreasing. And what was crazy is the first day that we opened the dining room on 13th Street, Burger King, of course, threw all these policies at us of cleanliness and this. And we had this special disinfectant spray. We had to spray everything every 20 minutes.
Did they send that to you at?
No, I had to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. You had to buy it.
It's pushed down, and you just got to do this.
Got to take it.
The rules.
Yeah.
And the first person in the door walked in, went to the bathroom, and left. We had to go clean the bathroom. So, there was so many frustrations with it. But here's what I'll tell you is we were fortunate that we had drive-thrus.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the sit-downs were absolutely closed. And I feel bad for those guys. That's where some of the ARPA funds that come in, or the DRC funds, help those guys kind of get by. But coming out of that, and then where I was going with the Benjamin location being lower volume, we come out of that, and then they shut Benjamin down for 2 summers.
Right.
Fixing the road. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I completely
I should have totally, we should have had that in the questions.
And you couldn't get in. Couldn't get in.
So how did you fight that?
So what I fought is the original design was going to put a roundabout at Queen City, and at Riverside and Benjamin, and at First Street. They were going to put roundabouts in, and they wanted an island to go all the way from First Street to 13th Street. So if you were westbound, you wouldn't have been able to turn into me. I said, hold up. That's fine if you'd have done that before I ever planted myself here. And they had customer counts. They knew how many people from 11 to 2 were turning into my Burger King.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said, you're taking those people. Oh, no, they'll go down to the roundabout and come back. No, they won't.
No.
They're either going to McDonald's.
Promise you I'm not.
They won't.
Exactly. And the engineers were show me Omaha. That's Omaha. This is not here. They're going to run 13th Street and go down.
They always compare to bigger cities.
Oh, yeah.
Norfolk is so much
we are.
Even with franchises, they're like,
yep.
There's no way this could do well there. You'd be
A lot of people don't realize Norfolk is half the size of Grand Island.
Yeah.
Let alone Omaha.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, stop it. So fortunately, I think what was the straw that broke the camel's back is on Queen City. It would have got into that car wash.
Yeah.
Well, they had to buy the car wash.
Yep.
And then on Riverside and Benjamin, it would have got into Bank First and Secura, because you're putting a square in a round hole, you know. And then on First Street, it was just going to be a mess.
Yeah.
So they walked away from all that. And then I suggested, why can't we just do what we do from Paswalk to Omaha Avenue and put a box? Because what they were looking at was the main cause was safety and wrecks, and there was a death at Riverside or Queen City in Benjamin. Lady pulled out, got T-boned, and it killed her. So that was running the score up on the safety side of it. And I said, well, what's happening? They said, well, it's rear ends and side swipes. Well, rear ends are because there's no turn lane, and side swipes are because they're turning to miss somebody rear ending.
Right.
So put a square box down the middle, make it 5 lanes, and be done. I haven't seen an accident since it's open.
Yeah.
So
I do love roundabouts, but
really,
I do
straight through them. You remember that video where they're
He's Dukes of Hazzard right over the top.
I love roundabouts minus the highway.
oh,
I think that was the stupidest one
Out there
I've
on
ever seen.
275.
That was just, especially when you're around it. Like that's the only time I really slow down is when I see a pod or something like. These
you don't want to
idiots,
be next to them.
These guys are going too fast. They're
Yep.
not paying attention.
Well, it's funny now that Bank First is now closed over there. It probably could have been done now.
Yeah.
Because you could have taken that
Yeah.
land and
Yeah.
moved the road.
Well, at
But
least
an
there.
island would have been stupid.
An island would have been super.
I think a roundabout with a turning lane.
Oh, they
would have
wanted
been fine.
trees, and I'm like, what are you gonna do for snow removal?
Yeah.
What do you do for snow removal? You're just gonna pile snow on the island?
That was our biggest complaint when we were talking to people on the city council and all this stuff was all the beautification
Mm-hmm.
that was
Yes.
done. That was
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
like where the metal sign, like all that, was it necessary?
Fences and yeah, I mean, I think from an attraction standpoint, and what you got to understand is from the economic development side, the tourism side, what you want people to do is come visit our community and go, wow, or draw them in. And then once we have them here, we want them to come back. They want them to live here, work here, raise their family here. So some of those amenities have payoffs. It's just going to take time to see. So me, we've lived here all our lives. It's like it's overdone. But when you get somebody that's coming from somewhere that's nice or not as nice as we are, I think that does step that level up.
Okay.
If I go to another place, I'm not paying attention to that bullshit. I'm paying attention to ease.
Yeah.
So I would make it easier for me.
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
about some beautification stuff. Just make it
Mhm.
look, all you gotta do is have it clean.
Or
Well,
what
that's-
about
You don't have to have fancy art. You don't have to just clean.
Mhm.
what about what's
Wants to look
adjacent to
good.
it? So we did all that beautification to it, and then, and no offense to who owns it, but the strip mall
Mm-hmm.
across from you, you have all this beautification, and then the
Yeah.
strip mall's still
Still,
what it's been for since
age.
I was.
Yeah, they don't have Burger King
born.
saying, hey, remodel.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of the process of
Not saying it looks bad.
need
I'm
to
just-
have those conversations of
Yeah.
that's the is it the Ace Rent to Own behind Walgreens? And they've been working on
Oh,
it forever, but
yeah.
they're trying to upgrade that
Yeah.
frontage. They're trying to make that better. It's just I don't know if it's a contract or what, but some of those things come naturally. That's kind of my Burger King.
Yeah.
I mean, Burger King's saying remodel because I'm in my midterm of my franchise agreement. But on the other hand, I'm going, got a Freddy's, got a Cane's, we got Chipotle coming.
Got to
Yeah.
keep
Now-
up with the Joneses.
Well, it's not so much, I just look tired. So it's like at some point, if
But
they
didn't
start
you
losing
just
tenants.
upgrade the facade not that long ago?
12 years ago, buddy.
Has it been that long?
12 years ago.
Good
I
Lord.
got a hall pass because of COVID.
Okay.
My midterm fell in COVID, and they knew we were all hurting. So they finally this last December, like, you got to have it done by this
It
date.
still looks good. Like it still looked good.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought.
but it wasn't what the new look is.
Gotcha.
I mean, when this is done, it's gonna be amazing.
Well, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and you've seen my pictures of what
Yeah,
the
what's
patio's
that
gonna
stuff
look
you're putting on the
like.
outside called?
It's Nichaha.
Okay, I was wondering what
It's a cement siding board. It took me for it. I was saying it wrong.
that is. That something from Burger King one or?
Oh yeah, no, that's Burger King spec,
Hmm.
and it's not cheap.
I'm sure it's not.
Yeah.
It was hard to put up from what you're saying.
Yeah, and so the contractor never worked with it, and they thought it was going to come in 6-inch like cement siding would. It come in an 18-inch, and it needs a clip. So, I mean, they spent 2 days between trying to figure out and get everything square because everything across, all the lines have to match. So they spent 2 days just trying to get everything lined up right. And now we're just waiting on drive-through. Thursday, I'm going to close down. We're going to asphalt overlay the parking lot. and do the Nichiha on the drive-through side. Then we'll follow up with the EFIS. We're cooking with gas. So
sounds like it. I mean, you got the Thailand. I mean, you talked about
not all of it.
Well, but it was supposed to be white.
Yeah, I thought in the pictures it's white and it come in gray, and I was actually doing backflips because it's like I got white tile on Benjamin, and it's hard to keep clean.
Yeah,
it's
I
hard to
like the
keep
gray
clean.
look.
The gray is really cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go in there and eat. We'll have to go in there.
Okay, I'll cook you some
what's
churros.
What's the could we do a podcast from in there?
Absolutely,
that'd be kind of fun.
Absolutely. I got a high top 8-chair table in the back. We set up back there and
we should
grab
do that.
some customers, and
we should do that. That'd be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
I've been wanting to bring the podcast out to the city.
Oh, I'm in.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I'm in. And you'll get to eat free that night.
Okay. Well, good. Good.
You don't look like you like to eat, so
I don't. I'm actually been working out pretty good.
Yeah, attaboy.
I've lost I don't know what I've lost.
I'm proud of you.
Checked it out.
I don't care if it's a pound, I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I've
everybody's got to move.
I just feel like I've got just a little bit tighter.
Last year I had done really well. Had lost a lot of weight, and then the holidays hit.
Oh yeah.
And I completely quit working out.
It's easy to
so
do.
now I'm getting back into it.
It's easy to do.
But I'm staying pretty good at it and eating well this time too.
We'll just have to get Todd on, and he'll have to.
Yeah, we're just gonna get Todd on, and he'll whip me right in.
You should bring us both on. That'd be funny.
That'd be fun. we could totally do it. So I don't know how you good on time. You sure? Okay.
The wife's only texted once, so
okay, well that's good.
Sorry, Suzanne.
So as far as like boards, groups, and councils, any kind of leadership stuff, is there any? We don't have to talk about them all.
Right.
I know you're involved in a lot.
Yeah.
Is there something that's close to the heart? Is there a couple that you want to talk about?
So one of them that really hits home. So just to kind of lay the framework, all this. So everybody always says, "Oh, county commissioner, what do you even do? It's 2 meetings a month," and well, no, it's every 2 weeks. Not missed a meeting in 7 years. Just so you're all aware, not missed a meeting in 7 years. But we get assigned. It's between 5 and 6 other boards, and generally it's where we have money or something that, like Northeastern Economic Development. I'm on that board because we are members and give money to those guys. So I have a position on that board. Juvenile detention facility in Madison. It's owned by 13 counties. We're all county board members. So I've got 6 myself. I think Eric might only have 5. I think Ron has 6. And then I'm on 3 other boards outside of that. Is it 3? 2. Behavioral Health Services and United Way. So I just come off being president of the United Way, and then I'm on Behavioral Health Services. And so that one's probably the most near and dear to my heart.
Behavioral health?
Yeah, and here's why. I mean, my mom, most people didn't know she was bipolar, paranoid schizophrenic with bouts of manic depression.
Oh, really?
People didn't know. And so my mom would come off her medication. She'd tell me she was coming off her medication. And she was just not controllable. She's divorced. There's really no power of attorney over her. She wouldn't let us do that. And so she would end up EPC'd, emergency protective custody, get her back on her medication. And so I get that. I myself and Todd, my oldest son, struggled a little bit with alcohol. In college, I did really bad because I didn't drink all the way through high school, and then I hit college and struggled with the stress of football and trying to perform. Got DUI back in 90, and it scared the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
Had to go through probation, the AA meetings, those things. I mean, go to an AA meeting and listen to somebody in Lincoln that got in a car wreck and killed the whole family.
Right.
Had to go make amends, right? And I'm like, I am not doing this. So ever since then, I've been good. My oldest son struggled a little bit. He's gay, struggled with coming out and those kinds of things, and just what went along with that, growing up in a Catholic school. So ended up hitting alcohol to try and run from it, hide from it. Got him through treatment. I think he's been sober for 4 years. So
that's great.
It's, we had a speaker come to one of our commissioner meetings, or actually our big conference for everybody. And he talked about, when people have addictions, we all look down on them, right? But if you get cancer, Zach, we're bringing your wife potluck. We're bringing her this and that. There's not a lot of difference to that, and that the struggle's real, and we're not supporting. So it's a mindset of trying to help. So that's with BHS. That's a lot of what we do in there with the short-term res and the outpatient treatment and those kinds of things. So, and the frustrating part about it is with the Medicaid expansion, a lot of these people qualified for Medicaid, but their rates are so low that it's hard to keep a facility open. And most of those people that are in the trenches are not making very much money,
Right.
and they're saving lives, you know. So going to try and work with Senator Dover and Senator Frederickson, trying to figure out the best system so we don't lose these facilities. That one probably is near and dear the most. The rest of them I enjoy just because of what we do. You know, there's I'm on the Visitors Bureau. I'm ex officio. Ron Stauffer, you guys know Ron Stauffer?
I know the name.
Yeah. So Ron was the president my first year that I showed up for a meeting, and I didn't read behind Visitors Bureau. It said ex officio. So I made a motion. He looked at me. You're ex officio. You can't do that. I'm like, sorry, Ron.
I thought I was part of his. I thought I was part of
this team. So what am I doing here if I can't vote?
That's
so.
How'd you become a part of the behavioral health services?
I was on that before I actually ran for county commissioner, and I was asked. God, who asked me? Trying to remember. It was one of the original board members, and when they asked, I hadn't even thought about it, and so just an ask, and hard to say no.
Yeah,
kind of that guy.
Yeah,
and so got on, and it's been quite the ride. It's been a roller coaster.
We talk about a lot of community involvement when it comes to, we don't always think it should be a government thing to provide those kind of services.
Right.
Do you think that the community here in town could get more behind something like that? Or do you think it's?
Yes and no. And we do try to do some fundraisers and do some things to raise funds. And I agree with you. There's a lot of things that we are able to do, I think, if structured right. And that's kind of the philosophy with the United Way to a certain degree. You know, those guys come out and most of the agencies need the money, but a lot of time, I mean, that's one of the questions I said, what do you guys do for fundraisers? How are you trying to get out and raise money in the public, you know, that are over and above what you're getting from the United Way? So I think it's important that everybody has some sort of mechanism where they're trying to fund. You know, that's setting on Big Bang Boom.
Yeah.
That, you know, we're going to ask some money from the city this next year with our 50th anniversary, but we've never taken a dime from the city.
Yeah.
We've always felt like them providing police and fire in the park is more than we could ever ask for.
Right.
We don't have to rent a facility, you know, and we've been able to start that from nothing, and actually having to borrow money to clean up the JC's mess when we took it over, because we owe Grucci money and before they give us fireworks, and borrow money to get out of debt, to doing hot dog feeds and wrapping presents at the mall, and just really getting after it. And it was a goal to have the money so that we didn't have to ever worry about it. So
do you think that there is becoming too many organizations when it comes to the behavioral health side? There may be, like, because now we have I forget what it's called,
I just feel like there's a lot of saturation in a lot of different
areas. So here's what's going to happen, guys. So the well just got a federal grant. It's a CCBHC that they're going to do, and it's kind of the federal government's trying to fund, and they're going to kind of tap into the opioid money too. They're trying to create regional centers without us being. It's going to be federally funded, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. So I think where you're going to see behavioral health go, or any Oasis, any of those places, we're really going to have to fine tune and see where we're at. And we also do
the Connection Project. That's what I was thinking of.
The Connection Project. Yeah.
Okay.
So the Connection Project, I'm very familiar with Rob and what they do, because they kind of help us with BHS. They kind of are a feeder program, if that makes sense, because not everybody can get in as fast as they want into a treatment bed.
Right.
So Connection Projects is a peer support group, and those guys don't run on a ton of state and federal. I mean, there's donations, and United Way does give them money, but they're kind of the in-between where somebody isn't quite ready to trust treatment.
Right.
So those guys are able to work them in, and they're recovered addicts,
right.
You know, alcoholics.
Right.
So that one's a little different than a counseling situation, but with the well doing what they're doing, we're going to see where they're able to take care of a large portion of everything that's happening.
Right.
So I think you're going to see that the many different people touching things is going to shrink down.
That was my point, was that there's only so many funds to go around.
Correct.
If we have so many different places, you know,
well, and then I have a feeling that, like, you can only give so much to somebody for so long.
Correct.
Until they decide to take it.
Right.
Like,
right.
If you're not going to take it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Well, that was with my son. I mean, I had to let him hit bottom. He called me at 2 a.m. We went, got him in Omaha, picked him up, took him to O'Neill. And I mean, I knew that I could take him to treatment and spend the money and it wasn't going to work. He needed to be, so that's the conversations and trying to have, and the problem is going to become is if it's not available at the time, you lose them when they're ready,
right?
Because then they're going to get back into it,
which is also a problem with going to a federal thing.
Yes, because
I don't want
right.
But
I'm not saying it's the best fix.
I just don't know how to, like he was talking about, just too many fingers in the pot or too many.
Well, you get too many layers and it gets blown out.
And I've been there. So I've gone through the whole, I didn't drink in high school, got through college, drank a shit ton, got out of there, had to hit real life. And I got to a point where I was at rock bottom, and in my head, I had to make a decision. Now I didn't have to go to treatment or anything, but I had to make that decision, my own, to change my life path.
Yep.
And I get it's harder for some people than others to do what I did, but it's a tough.
You got to deal with what's putting you there.
Yeah.
What's the demon that's putting you there? And if you can face that, then that's easier for you to walk away from.
I mean, I had a DUI in 2012, and that didn't fix it.
Really?
For me. No, that didn't fix it for me.
Out of me.
I didn't drink and drive,
and I wasn't supposed to be driving that night, for the record, but I ended up with the keys because one of my high school friends was fighting in the bar, and he's like threw me the keys to go get the car and pull up, and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah, it took me till almost 20. It was like 2018. I'd go up, down, and then I hit.
Yep.
Or 2017.
And I'm done. Yep.
And now I can control it.
I can do social, and honestly, I'm old enough now that if I think it was my 50th birthday party, and it was more of I did not keep track of how much. I had a buddy give me a big glass of scotch, and it was all over, and I haven't since, it's been 6 years.
I can't say I don't drink alone anymore.
And I don't drive. I don't get myself in situations, but I go golf. I mean, I have 2, maybe 3.
Right.
I don't like the hangovers. I'm too old.
Yeah. Well, I haven't learned that lesson.
Yeah.
Recovery suck.
Yeah.
So sticking on the Big Bang Boom.
Yeah.
Your role is to line up food vendors. Let us in on that process a little bit.
So I'm kind of so there's 2 sides to that, which most people don't understand. And so we have the fireworks side on the south side, and that's we've got 10 licensed pyrotechs. We save a ton of money because J&M normally, when they sell fireworks shows, you have to pay J&M to come out and set the fireworks up, because we have licensed pyrotechs, and we have a couple of them that are paid very minimal, just to say, so we can get them on the insurance, oversee the setup of the show. So we're saving probably $15,000 in setup costs. Right. We generally shoot around $45,000 worth of fireworks. So what we want to tell people is that when you donate, it's going to fireworks. So I take care of the north side, which is the bands, all the food vendors, and in that side of it, I got a big.
So you're kind of the entertainment,
right? That side of it, and that's more me. I help set up, and then I walk away. I don't get off on wiring shells and dropping them. And
you're not the pyro.
My wife's a licensed pyrotech, and she loves this stuff. So I'm just like, you do your thing, honey. So I do like the interaction with all the vendors, and then when you watch Behind the Boom, I mean, I get a little tore up because it was during COVID.
Yeah, and
I watched some of these guys when they were struggling because that's their livelihood,
right?
I mean, that's what they do. That's how they make their living in the year. So, but yeah, so formed great relationships. It got away from me this year a little bit. I like to keep between 12 and 14 because my philosophy is I want them to do well. I owned a shaved ice trailer from Brogy's and know the struggle and trying to get into events, and I get that. But I also know that when I showed up and I had asked, is there anybody else shaving ice? Oh, no, nobody's shaving ice. And I show up and there's 2 other trailers shaving ice, and they stick me between them. So I didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
So bring those in. So we're able to, by those funds of those rentals or the vendor fees, cover everything on the north side of the lake. So we can truly say when you're giving $100 to the fire, it's going to the fireworks.
Right.
So that's been my goal all along, is to match that up. I'm going to struggle next year because we're going to double the show next year with the 50th anniversary.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to compete and help compete with that of anything towards that. But, we do the paid parking. We got a whole group that does that and some of those things. So we're able to cover and raise funds. And actually we've come ahead in we've been planning for this for 5 years with
Right.
50th. So we've been doing, that's the best seats in the house and those things that we've done. So, but yeah, so it's been
not only is it the 50th, it's also the 250th.
250 for the country. Yeah. And it's
Right.
on a Saturday. So
Right.
right on. So, it's the vendor part of it is a huge part, and that's where, I mean, like I said, we're my wife and I are of one of two couples that are still left with the originals, and she's going to have a hard time walking away from, she lines. I don't know how she did it, because I'm not great with Excel, but she drew up this whole schematic. She knows where everything's laid out. So that's on her to lay everything out over there. And so she's not walking away, and I have a hard time giving up the relationships, because I know how food vendors can be.
Right.
Because everybody wants to come and they talk a big talk, and then they get there and they can be the biggest pain in your ass. I mean, I almost had to throw a guy in the lake this year. I mean, we tripped the power it was 12:30. We weren't even open yet. And I had too many vendors, the bounce houses, and tripped the 200 amp main breaker on the Midway area. And this guy just gets in my ear, and I'm like, dude, I'm working on it. We were going out to Don Wisniewski's to get a big generator that run a small town. We just didn't have it there. I'm like, I'm working on it. Well, people should pay more money for power and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I just turned and I gritted my teeth and I said, I am working on it. You need to stand down.
Yeah.
And he just kind of, woo. So yeah,
That's what a lot of people don't know about that side of events.
Oh no.
Me being around the county fair and state fairs with my dad, I've got horror stories that
people
I've
get
heard
stupid
my entire life.
Well, they don't understand the behind the scenes.
Well, they're just worried. They're just worried about what's in front of them.
Right.
They're not seeing the whole.
Well, they're worried about me.
I'm like, I pointed up and down the road. Nobody has power. Nobody has power.
I can tell there's no power.
I have to fix this, and to fix this, it's going to take me 20 minutes to get this generator here, and it's only 12:30. We don't open till 1. And it doesn't get busy till 3.
Right.
Chill out, dude. Chill out.
Yeah, that's wild. When people, he was thinking more of himself.
Oh yeah,
than
absolutely.
else.
That I'm not going to be able
not
to run.
Maliciously. People think that
they
way.
panic, and again, I guess being, I tell people all the time, even just to get yelled at over a $5 or $6 Whopper, right? I was built to work in county government, and the fact that I'm going to get yelled at, and I don't let it bother me.
For minuscule things.
Burger King has a guest recovery acronym. It's LAST. You can use it. I'm sharing it. So LAST is listen, apologize, satisfy, and thank. Okay. You cannot get them out of order.
Right.
I lost a manager over this. Had an attorney that had been an attorney here for years, showed up on my doorstep on a Sunday because we screwed his salad up for like the 5th time. There's a bacon, something, we forgot the bacon again. He goes into my manager. My manager's listening. He hears him say the bacon, grabs the salad, goes back, puts the bacon on it, brings it back. Sorry about that, sir. Here you go. He wasn't done talking.
Right.
He wanted to tell him how he's doing his job, and you've done this 5 times, and blah, 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 blah. And so shows up at my doorstep. So then I go down, and I'm not an angry boss by any means. I'm going to point out the obvious, and I'm going to try and train you and build you up. So I explained to Kaz, here's what happened. This guy showed up at my door. You didn't listen, but I did. You didn't listen and let him talk. He's going to tell you how to do your job. You got to let it go right over your head. Just let it go. Apologize, then satisfy, thank him on the way out the door. 2 hours later, he called me and said, hey, my keys are on the desk. I quit. I pissed him off. And it's like, well, you weren't meant to be here then.
Right.
But I use that in everything that I do. I mean, when you call, I was showing him pictures that I got on the road over north of Tilden. I get a picture and, hey, this needs this and this and this. And you can tell the tone of the text and can't tell what the picture is really showing. Call, and I let him talk.
Right.
I want to hear it. Just let it out. Let it all out.
Right.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. Send the guys over. We're going to take, but a lot of times, you'll hear horror stories where you're threatening me, and now I'm going to fight with you because even if I'm wrong, I still want to be right.
Right.
And that's not how I am.
Yeah. I get that. I do have one thing I'm going to ask you about the Big Bang Boom.
Okay.
And we talked about it when we went over the weekend. Is there any way to get speakers? More speakers on the west side of the lake. Way down by the bridge.
We're going to work on by the bridge on 25th Street. You guys set clear down there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we walk from here under the
There was actually a
There
ton
was
of
I'll
people.
write
quite a
you
few
up-
people over there.
Oh, I'm sure there was. And there's going to be more. Our goal next year is to have 100,000 people out there.
Yeah.
We're bringing in a big name act. We can't, it's not confirmed yet, but
There you
it'll
go.
be a free concert on Saturday. We're going to bring
Yeah.
a big regional act in on Friday. So I will bring that back to the group because we stop probably 200 yards from the main shelter.
We
west.
can't hear. We have to bring it up on the phone to hear.
And then
music.
it's
that's
actually
behind.
delayed. It's way delayed. We had some
Super
complaints
delayed.
there because people had brought a radio and run it through the phone, and it was a good 30 seconds from the
Oh,
radio
for
station.
sure.
Yeah,
So,
if you're not going to do it on the actual AM, FM
yeah,
radio.
now if you come over to the Midway, it was amazing. I mean, you could hear the music
I'm sure.
through the fireworks.
we used to go. So when we lived at our other house,
Yeah.
we would walk on that side. You
Yeah.
could hear everything.
But
It's fine.
we finally, last year was the first year we invested in some better speakers or coax cable instead of just wires, copper
Mhm.
wire. And it was, we actually had people said it was too loud.
we could
Well-
hear the
Stage maybe.
national anthem because everybody's
'cause everyone's
quiet, at
quiet.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could hear that, but as soon as
So we
the
need to go
fireworks
further
started-
west.
Just a little bit.
Got it.
Just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Work on it.
There was a lot of people down there.
Was there?
I mean, yeah,
There was quite a few.
Normally there isn't because those trees are so bad. So are
We
you
s-
sitting on the sidewalk just down from the bridge then? So
We
you
were,
don't see
li-
it
right
we
from
were
the lake?
literally like
right on the lake.
right on the lake from the little bridge that crosses by the big bridge on
Yep.
on 25th. We were right there, maybe
Down.
I don't know, 20 feet
Okay.
right by the lake.
Okay.
And there was a bunch of people lined up
All the way down the
all
lake.
the way down to the bathrooms,
I wonder how many people we had then. Because that's
and we had people way behind us.
oh wow.
Yeah,
It's good to know.
And you could see it. We
Appreciate
the
the
view
feedback.
was just
We don't
fun.
know what we don't know.
Oh.
So
that's why we're
I'm on
pointing it
it.
out.
I'm on it.
Good, good. I didn't actually look to see, but there was a bunch of people leaving with us.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
that was
don't know,
a very
300, 400,
busy
500 people?
sidewalk
Oh yeah.
all the way towards Zelda.
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
that many people going that way.
Okay. Noted.
What is one piece of advice that you would give your younger self in every aspect of what you do?
Well, that's a loaded question.
That's what we do on this show.
I know. I think it's just to have the confidence and believe in yourself that what you're thinking is right and your decisions are good, and not to be drugged down by people that tell you can't. You know, so many times you have an idea or you want to go in a direction, and you just, the negativity around you drags you down. You know, and if most people that are successful failed 2-3 times, you know. You heard my walk up into what I'm doing now. I mean, we were broke. I mean, when we moved to Battle Creek, my dad filed bankruptcy. We were broke.
Right.
I didn't know it,
Right.
but we were broke. So there is always a way out.
Right.
I pride myself on the people that I hire. I try and bring them into a better place and teach them how to be better people. So I think just always know that you can always move up. You know, you're a product of your environment, right? So telling my younger self is hang around the right people. You know, if you hang around unsuccessful people, you're going to be unsuccessful, right? So get yourself in a situation where you're around successful people and move yourself up and forward. So
What do you think about? I saw this quote the other day from Elon Musk, and I'm sure it's been around for a long time, but try to do your 10-year goals in 6 months. You ever heard that before?
no, but that's crazy.
Yeah. That's kind of that was his philosophy in getting into Tesla. And
That's what an autistic person would say.
I just,
Yeah, no kidding.
well, I looked at
That's
that and I was
just
like,
crazy.
but that is kind of how we approach the podcast. That's kind of how we,
Well, but
you know.
that's just it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Leading up to the start of the remodel, I was nervous because I'm like, how's this going to go? And just overthinking, you know. And maybe that's what I tell myself, just overthink things. Because now that we're started, we're on or ahead of schedule, we're under budget, and I've been fighting it, just worried that it was going to just drag me down so bad, and this is going to kill my business. And to be honest, now that we're in it, it's going just fine.
Yeah.
You know, so it was all me that was worried. Granted, you want to hire a good company, you don't want to have issues, and all those things fell into place. But I did my work to get there. But I can tell you, I mean, it's scary trying to do something.
at the end
you
of the
know.
day, you don't want to lose money.
No.
Like that's always
No.
I think that's the factor that always
Mhm.
I think there's
scares people.
a natural fear of failure too.
That's
Oh,
Like not even Like anybody that says they're never afraid of failure, I think is a complete liar.
Yeah.
Like at some point, it's there. It may just be smaller than other people's fear, but everybody.
We all have it, and it's how you react to it.
And I'm
it's
afraid of failure, but usually it's because I feel that we could lose money in some way, shape, or form. We're going to lose this income stream or this, or sometimes it's just I don't know. It's just weird.
For a long time, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, my youngest son, they went to Donuts with Dad, and they had the quotes. What's your dad say all the time? So I'm looking for mine, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know, and it's try to teach that to my kids, and it's just so much easier to roll with things. I mean, if it's not going to affect you in a day, an hour, you know,
it's kind of the guy thing, though. It is what it is. I'll figure it out.
Yep.
You know, I'll figure it out. I don't know. So at the end
what's
of the
worst
show,
that's going to happen? They're going to take your birthday away?
Yeah, right. Maybe.
At the end of the show. So this is going to be the end of the main portion of the show. So if there's anything that we missed outside of your, and I know we probably missed a lot. I didn't even think about talking about Brogies.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Started that from
I just
nothing.
didn't even think about it. So if
Started
you want to talk about it, we can talk about it right now.
I'm good because I probably have to have a break.
Right now?
Sure.
We can pause.
Okay, let's do that.
We can pause. Okay, we're back again. Let's talk about Brogies. I did kind of forget to bring that up. So let's talk about how that started.
So it started, there was 6 of us involved to start. So it was Suzanne and I, her mom and dad, and then her brother and his wife. So Paul and Paula were living in Kearney at the time, and they had a Baristas, which was a drive-through coffee shop. And Paula come to me, knowing my background with food and drive-throughs. She said, hey, we need to do this. And she brought pictures, and we can do that. So everybody thought we were crazy to go back there on Taylor Avenue where we're at behind Menards, and got car counts. And there's 4,000 cars a day behind.
It's wild.
At that time would drive behind either to, go to school Catholic, or it's the thoroughfare to get to Hy-Vee.
Right.
Those things. So
I take that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially coming from up here.
It kind of sucks now that Menards put that big ass building up and bought the bank, because you can't see us, but it's been long enough. Everybody knows where we're at to a certain degree. So, and it's not something that we're getting super rich off from. Suzanne enjoys it. She was not a coffee person to start. She figured out, well, if you put chocolate and milk into coffee, I like it. So
if you make it milk,
that's
fine.
Yeah.
That's how my wife likes it.
It's been 22 years this summer.
That's even wilder.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, 2 years ago, we did the 20th, and Chamber come out, and it just blew me away that it had been that long, because I don't know.
It's low overhead.
Right? For the most part. It doesn't take much, and we have 2 really good employees, and then Suzanne works in there too, and are able to get it done. And it's one of those things that coffee beans have gone up, some of those things. And funny story though with starting it. So Don Eccles is from Omaha, reached out, had an online ad for the equipment. We're trying to find somebody to buy equipment from. And, fortunately with Burger King, all that stuff's right there on our website that we go buy our products from.
Right.
So reach out to Don Eccles. We'll come to find out Don Eccles actually is the one that started scooters in Omaha.
Oh, really?
He sold us our very first espresso machine. So we bought our coffee beans. He roasted coffee beans, and he sold us our equipment. And I'm like, God, do you want us to put scooters on this? I mean, they only had 5 locations in Omaha at the time, 22 years ago. He's like, no, I don't think so. I really don't want a franchise, and it's just not I don't want the headache, right? And he lived in Seattle for most of his life. He was probably my age when he moved to Omaha to start scooters, because he wanted to get out of Seattle, and Omaha didn't have a lot of drive-through coffee. And he was adamant that I would go toe-to-toe with Starbucks, because Starbucks takes a very, very cheap bean and over roasts it. So if you crack a bean 4 times in the roast process, it gives it that burnt flavor.
Yeah.
So you're hiding the fact that it's a cheap bean, right? People get accustomed to that taste. They like it. But he'd go head to head with the Starbucks and kick their butt, he said. So he gets, 10 years go by, and we kind of found some beans that we liked, and got away from him and the beans and the flavors, found a place that was cheaper than what he was selling them. And he actually sold out the Scooters name, the business, to an investment guy who then franchised it.
Right.
Don Eccles did the smartest thing I think anybody could ever do. He had Harvest Roasters that was roasting the beans. When he sold that, it was in the contract that he would provide every scooters in the country beans. It's genius.
Yeah.
He does not have the headache of chasing all these franchisees around.
Yep.
I'm just shipping beans and flavors.
Exactly.
I'm sending trucks out. I got to buy a few more trucks. And so, and what's funny is probably 4 years ago, Suzanne gets a cold call, somebody trying to sell beans, and she says she's with Harvest Roasters. And Suzanne said, "Who are you with?" She said, "Harvest Roasters." "Are you out of Omaha?" She's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Don't you supply scooters with beans?" She's like, "How did you know that?" "Well, Don Eccles sold us our equipment." She's like, "Oh, so I suppose you don't want to buy our beans?" "No, we're not going to buy your beans." No. So, but yeah, it's transformed. Coffee hasn't changed a whole bunch. I think, we've added scooters here to town, and Mike and his wife are great people with scooters and own it, Reynoldson's, and so happy for them. Seven Brew wheels in then here just recently, and the thing that they do, both of them do that we don't do, is there's a lot more energy drinks and things like that.
Right.
Don Eccles, and that's why you can see Scooter's philosophy. Don Eccles, I said, "Should we do food?" And he said, "I do coffee. Be good at coffee. Don't do food." So we do a prepackaged muffin is all you can get, and some biscotti.
Right.
There's no waste on it for the most part.
Right.
And when Scooters got taken over, they started doing breakfast sandwiches. And what's that create? That creates waste. Because you can only hold it for so long. If you warm it up, so it's ready, so you're fast.
Right.
So, and then also what they do is the energy drinks and Seven Brew. If you look at what they do a lot of different drinks that we just don't do.
Right.
So, initially it kind of hurt us. I always call it the honeymoon period, kind of just like with Freddy's, it hurt us. But
yeah. What about
you look at
did
everything
Starbucks
just kind of
hurt you when
flush
it
out.
went into Target?
Target, no, because those people
Affordable.
were shopping, and those
Right.
guys. I mean, I knew Andy Pfeiffer. He was a manager at Target, and I mean,
He was my
I
neighbor.
was floored. I love Andy. He's on the
Yeah,
United
he's a
Way
good
board.
guy,
He's
yeah.
a great guy. But I was floored at the amount of sales that Starbucks did in that Target. I mean, it just floored me.
Because they started letting them do online orders, and they would bring it out.
Yep, bring it out to
with the
them.
Target pickup.
So they've probably been hurt by corporate because Target owns that Starbucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of Target.
Yeah.
And so them putting that one on 13th Street, I don't think our coffee does not taste like their coffee.
No, I think
You know.
I think you guys have had the better product of all the
Right.
all the chain places. Yeah.
Yep. And I'd say we probably have the best smoothie in town. Our chai tea, if you ever try the chai tea, hands down better than anybody else in town, just because we buy a higher quality product.
Yeah. And you guys always put the coffee bean on there.
Oh, I gotta have
Still
a coffee
doing
bean.
that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people kill us if we didn't.
I'm sure they would.
They'll buy. Just give me 10 coffee beans.
They're great.
Yeah. So
just eat them.
and again, kind of back to
it's
the
chocolate
pricing.
covered.
There's chocolate
So
covered coffee
if
beans.
you get a hot coffee, it starts to melt on top. So you not only do you get to eat that little chocolate
Dollop,
coffee bean,
well, and there's a dollop of whipped cream on time.
So you get all that from the beginning. And if you let it sit there and melt for a minute, you get that chocolate with the coffee as you're drinking it.
Some people want us to throw them in.
That too.
Yeah. So, but again, pricing wise, I think Suzanne hadn't taken a price increase in 5 years, so we did move prices, and we're still less than. I mean, like I said, it's the same way philosophy I have with Burger King is we just under everybody else, and be fair with people.
It is cheaper, and you're getting, in my opinion, you're getting more coffee with you guys.
Yeah. When we first opened it, I did my cost of what we needed to be at, and milk was $2 a gallon. The subsidy went away on milk, and it jumped to $4 a gallon right away after we had our menu boards made. And I'm like, oh, geez. So, so that's fluctuated,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy. So, but yeah, it's been a good thing. I think it's a good business to be in. We're a true mom and pops, support local. That's definitely local.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think Seven Brew hasn't been around long enough, but I know Scooter supports the community well. So
Yeah.
like I said, I think there's room for all of us to a certain degree. And what's funny is somebody my age would have wheeled up 22 years ago, at the age I am now, and looked at me like, I don't know what I want, because people didn't know what coffee is. And now somebody my age wheels up and they're going, give me this and this and this and this. And
give me 7 pumps of this and 2 pumps of that.
And, because it's just everywhere. Everybody just knows how to order a coffee now.
That's the thing with Seven Brew, though, is I think it's not for coffee people.
No, it's not. It's way different in that philosophy.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll run Sonic out of business. Is what they'll do. The cherry limeades. And those kinds of things,
Yeah.
So which won't be hard to do when you don't fix your sign.
I got a coffee there. My wife got me coffee there one time, and I was like, "This is not coffee."
Yeah. I was definitely gonna bring that up a while ago when we were talking about facades and everything. I was like,
"Oh,
and
facades."
Those guys are definitely. I mean, it started with local owners with Sonic.
Yeah,
but
then
it's now
they've been through what, 3?
Oh, at least, and so
it was great when it first opened.
Yeah.
Well, it was that was back when I was in high school. It was
local
great.
ownership.
Still pretty decent, but like just your sign is.
I would never.
I don't get it. I mean, I got like a $500 deductible on my signs to be replaced. Replace the damn sign.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
I mean,
it's been years.
5. I mean, somebody got on Facebook and Snap because they.
Now
took
they're
a picture
out of their
Sonic.
time to do a claim.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, they probably got their money and just didn't fix it.
That's yeah.
But I had somebody posted the Sonic, and then somebody like showed a picture of mine. Well, it's not even been a year on that north side. When they made my sign, there's 4 posts in there that keep it from caving in, and they're not pointed, but they're just 1/2-inch pipe. And that wind, I think over the years they've thinned up the plastic on those things. It's already broke again.
Jeez.
Really?
So I have a whole new sign coming for that, and it's going to be round. And I'm hoping that I don't have to ever replace the face.
Jeez.
That they make it better.
That's
but I mean, it's good business. I mean,
right.
First Ford Explorer I bought, head gasket started leaking. They take it out and show me, and I'm like, "What is that?" It's cork. This some bitch was gonna leak. I mean,
yeah,
it's
right.
they want to sell another one.
Right.
You can't make it last for 20 years.
Right. I was going to ask you too, did Taco John's coming back help you guys on 13th at all when it first came back?
Oh, it was huge when they first opened back up.
Yeah.
Because the line was so long, they come and ate with me.
That's what I was at.
Oh, yeah. Because I was right there.
Because what was there after so they closed down?
Oh, they were always there, but they closed because it was terrible.
So it was just empty.
Yeah. So then Mark Scott owned it out of Yankton. And that's a funny story too. Because when we bought the old Ecoline long stay motel there, where we put up the building where Jay Kenobi's at now, 365.
Yeah.
Mark Scott approached us and said, "Hey, why don't you buy the Taco John's?" So I kind of paid attention when I was going through, and he had a mess. I mean, they were stealing from him. I asked for a receipt, and they had written down hand order, and they're taking. I paid cash, and
right.
They're like, "Oh, you want a receipt?" I called Mark. I'm like, "Dude, they're stealing your money."
Right.
So then we come down to price, and he wanted way more than what it was going to EBITDA. Right. He's like, "Well, if you buy it, I know you're going to do this much." I said, "Well, the bank doesn't see it that way."
Right.
So we just never come to grips on. I mean, we were going to buy it,
really,
and couldn't get him to come down to where it was showing that it was doing in sales. I mean, you can't guarantee that it's going to do that,
right?
But he knew we'd run it better than he was,
right?
So yeah,
that's wild.
Yep. So then it closed down for that period, and then they reopened, remodeled.
Yeah.
I don't think they're still not real super busy now, though.
No.
But their price so high. I mean,
Taco
Bell.
I remember when a 6-pack and a pound was, I think maybe $9.
I can remember back.
You go there, it's like $32 to get a 6-pack and a pound.
I can remember back in the early 90s where my mom was freaking out because the Whopper combo was going to go over $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, people will pull out a 5. They don't want to pull out an extra one.
Right.
I'm like, she's rolling over in her grave now because it's like $11,
Right.
It's pricey.
Oh, yeah.
So Bounce House.
Oh, yeah. So U-Hop Entertainment, we almost forgot about that. So
yeah, we did almost forget about that.
We had that for 11 years, and that kind of derived out of Big Bang Boom, believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was always a Midway, Bounce Houses, the inflatable Midway.
Yep.
And we would bring Brian Hill Entertainment up out of Omaha. Well, my partner in U-Hop, Bob Hoppy, people call and want a bounce house. So he would drive to Omaha, get a bounce house from Brian. Brian would pay him to set it up and the mileage, and it would tack back on the customer. And so they were paying way more than they should have. Bob's like, "We should buy some bounce houses." I'm like, "What?" I don't have time to do bounce houses. No. Let's do this. So we bought 5 middle of the road quality bounce houses. And he lives on Sheridan right on 81. Put a big sign in his yard, rent bounce houses. It exploded.
I bet.
And we had those 5 bounce houses paid off in about 3 with the first summer. So by the end of that summer, we're clear on what we bought. He's online looking for bounce houses and comes across somebody on eBay that's selling their whole business. 30 bounce houses, all the blowers, trailers, generators, everything, cords, turnkey, Davenport, Iowa. So the guy was, his fiance worked for Hy-Vee and she was getting moved. So he was selling because he wasn't going to take it with him. So we went out and spent the money. And though for 2 years, we didn't take any profits out of it, paid the note off. So in 2 years, we were debt free. And we had some 6-figure years with that thing.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, just crazy money. And so I had kids that were the right age, were driving. They could go set them up. They would go work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day week, set them up in the morning, go hang out with their friends and jack around all weekend. Go in the evening, pick them up, and they'd make more money than their friends were working 40 hours a week.
Right.
And so my kids kind of aged out. All went to college. Bob's kids are coming up. Well, then all of a sudden he decides that his daughters needed to play softball. So now I'm trying to beg friends of my kids that stuck around here to help set them up. And, we're 9-10 years into this. And I said, Bob, I'm done. I don't have time.
Right.
Just don't have time. I mean, I know you like the money. I don't need the money. So that was during COVID. Bill and Denise Hansen ended up buying it from us.
Okay.
And again, sales dipped with COVID. And we were cleaning those just like we were Burger King. And it was people wanting them. We'd set them up, disinfect, from the person before. And they basically walked away with under what we could have just sold piece by piece by piece.
Right.
And I told Bob, I said, I don't need, do you need? I said, I want to see this go on.
Right.
I want them to be successful.
Right.
So we basically gave it away.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's...
Oh, absolutely. And Bill and Denise, they're still doing Big Bang Boom for us. And that was one of the other things that we knew that we would take over. We kicked Brian Hill out and we would do Big Bang Boom.
Right.
But we had, I think we had 40 pieces, post proms, town events, that didn't want to bring carnivals in. I mean, just insane. So, Bill and Denise they've got blow up putt golf. They got axe throwing. They got all kinds of stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So we set them up to succeed, and I felt good about that.
That's good.
So
you don't see it too often.
No.
So it's nice to see somebody.
Well, yeah, I don't want to put you in a situation where you're going to end up bailing on, having to not make this successful. So.
Right.
And we had the other thing. I mean, we had 2 other people in town that were kind of trying to compete with us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, we got to give them a step up. And those other 2 are gone.
Well, there you go.
So
you did it.
Yep.
You did it. Okay. So we're at the end of the show.
Okay.
We play a little game of Would You Rather.
Okay.
You ever played that before?
Nope.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a question. You got to pick one of the 2 things that I ask. The first 5 questions are about Burger King.
Would I Whopper or a Big Mac?
No, that's not it.
Oh, shoot.
The last 5 questions are going to be about being the county commissioner.
Okay.
So we are going to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, that's
not
fine.
a lot. They're kind of fun questions.
Oh, yeah.
I have not read these yet. So
where'd they come from? AI?
They're AI.
Yeah.
So I put them into
Perfect.
AI. I don't read it. He doesn't read them. So they're kind of just off the cuff. Would you rather deal with a rush of 100 customers in 1 hour with a fully staffed team or a slow day with only half your staff showing up?
The 100 customers in a rush. Dude, that's the best. That's the best.
Because it goes by so fast, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's the thrill of it, of the gotta go.
Right.
When it's slow, everybody's frustrated. Even my employees now. I mean, they'd rather be busy than be slow.
Right. 100%.
That means they got to clean.
Right.
If you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yes, sir.
Would you rather introduce a bold experimental menu item that might flop or stick to the classic Burger King offerings to keep customers happy?
I'm a bold guy. Let's throw it out there.
Do something different.
Yeah.
I like that. Would you rather have your franchise known for would you rather have your franchise known for lightning fast service but average food quality, or exceptional food quality but slower service?
I would rather the food quality be up. I think people will wait a little bit, but speed is definitely important.
It is important.
I would do food. I would,
Quality.
as a customer, I would
Quality.
rather the quality.
Yeah.
I'll take,
Quality. I'll
take
wait
extra
for it.
time.
I'll wait for
Mhm.
it. 100%. Would you rather invest all of your budget in a flashy marketing campaign to attract new customers or in upgrading equipment to improve operations? You've done both of these things.
Yes. I think right now I'm in the mode of operations and upgrading equipment. Flashy sometimes takes care of itself if you look good. So
Right.
that's where I'm at now with the remodel.
That was kind of a fun question, though, because
Yeah.
you've done both
Yeah.
of those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Would you rather face a surprise health inspection on your busiest day or handle a major supply shortage during a promotional event?
I would rather have a surprise health inspection visit
Yeah.
because I know we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And short supply is not good when you got the ice cream machine down. I mean, people yell at you.
That's funny.
When are you going to fix that thing?
So the next 5 questions are going to be about the county commissioner.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to the ice cream thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a problem in the winter? Do people still bitch about it in the winter?
Yeah, because they still order it if it's down. I mean, we're pretty fortunate. It doesn't happen very often. But the problem is, like I said, the guy's got it. It can
Yeah.
be a week.
But I mean,
You
and
know.
I get it in the summer because, like, I want an ice cream cone. But like,
Oh,
if it's in the winter,
no, they still eat it.
I would be
Shakes,
like,
shakes,
well, I
man.
guess I don't need one.
So
Now.
people will drive off. They want a chocolate shake with their meal, man, and they're not going to eat unless I have my chocolate shake.
I will say Burger King does have a good chocolate shake.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
Yep.
Would you rather push for a controversial new policy that could benefit the county long term but risks upsetting voters now, or stick with safer, less impactful decisions to maintain public approval?
I'm a long-term guy. I think we need to be looking 10, 15 years down the future.
Got it. Would you rather allocate the county budget toward improving infrastructure like roads and bridges, or invest in community programs like youth centers or public health initiatives?
That's a toss-up. It's
it's a
hard.
tough
That's
one.
a tough one. AI, you're screwing me here. I think what you find, what I would lean towards is infrastructure, because at the end of the day, if you defer maintenance on infrastructure, it's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is when I first got in, they were only doing 5 miles of asphalt overlay a year. We have 155 miles of oil road. They were only doing 5. I mean, we were nowhere near. And then they were
You're never
using a
gonna
lesser
catch up.
quality. You're never going to catch up. So I am now, 7 years later, we have almost every oil road to usable where nobody should complain. And we should be good. So now we're going to come down that slide of that cost and be able to do other things and stay on top of that. So I think one, the other thing is when I first got in, I mean, we've probably seen a 30% increase of the cost of a mile,
Right.
so that's the other thing. By deferring it, you're just costing more money.
Right.
So, I mean, those programs, I think you find other ways to support through other means. So infrastructure is important.
That makes sense. Would you rather deal with a major natural disaster in your county with limited state support, or manage a heated public debate over a diverse zoning issue?
A natural disaster. And I went through one, well, 2 actually with COVID.
Yeah.
So the flood in 19 and then in 20 COVID. So yeah, it gets very personal on the zoning issues, very personal.
I'm
And
sure
it's hard for, again, it's what's in front of you, what I want.
Right.
And I'm the only one that matters.
Right. Would you rather have to mediate a conflict between 2 powerful local interest groups, or face intense scrutiny from the media over a county project gone wrong?
I like mediating. I think I like to be in the middle of things to be able to try and help both sides come to an agreement.
I like to mediate a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, it's a little fun.
Oh yeah, that's
Little
what
bit.
you're doing right now.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Would you rather focus on attracting big business to boost the county's economy, or prioritize small local businesses to preserve community character?
I like small community, local character. I think sometimes when we get too deep into big companies, is we lose a little bit of control, where smaller, more, my goal's always been, and it's hard because one, we don't have the staff at the county level like, most cities, bigger cities have, the bureaucracy of it, and it costs money to have those people. But my goal was always to try and chase down in our smaller communities of trying to bring tech type businesses that need the internet and don't need to be in California, could be here, and you're in a safe place. Your kids can ride their bikes and they can walk to school, and you have a safe environment. So I'd rather see small businesses like that. I mean, it's flashy and big to bring the big business, but I'll tell you this, would we employ probably 60 people out at the crush plant, right? The county put $2.3 million into that road, you know? So in their valuation, it's going to take us 20 years to recoup that money that we put into that road. Where if you put 10 or 15 small businesses together that could bring 60 employees at the same rate, you know. Now, I will say, I mean, I'm all about ag, so I don't want to bash on the crush plant because I think it's important that we have that outlet for those soybeans. But I'm using that as an example of a big business.
Gotcha.
You know? So
that makes sense.
I don't know. I take it back to my Burger King. I mean, I like the fact that I have 2. I mean, the most I'd ever want is probably 5 because I want control. You know, I want to be able to be in them, be there. Where when you're a big business, sometimes you can't necessarily have those people be as relevant in the situation.
Going back to what you just said, have you ever thought about expanding into other
cities?
cities?
My issue is Cave organization out of Chicago owns Yankton, and Tri-City Foods owns Columbus, and neither one of them want to sell.
So you're just kind of dealing with the bigger guys.
Well, and what happens too is 10 years from now when I'm going to retire, or 5 or whatever it is, I'm with that 50 store limit. Both those guys are close to 500 stores apiece. They can't buy me. So I'm going to have to probably do some recruiting to get somebody to move to Norfolk to run 2 Burger Kings.
Right.
You know, so
which is good.
And
a Popeyes.
And a Popeyes. Yeah, Burger King and Popeyes. Absolutely.
I do like the Firehouse Subs idea.
No. They got one of those in Columbus.
There you go.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't go.
Or no, they have Pepper Jacks.
They got a Pepper Jacks. They don't have
Firehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Popeyes.
Maybe we'll do a combined thing, kind of like, you know, A&W used to do.
Yeah, why not?
Just Popeyes.
Yeah, it's Popeyes.
Whatever. So that's
all about Vance today.
Yeah. That's the show.
That's it.
That's the show.
Hopefully people like it.
What'd you think?
It's cool.
Like it?
Yeah.
Did we do good? Did we do it right on the? We forgot a few things about your.
That's okay.
History, but
I think we shared a lot. You know, I think it kind of little delve into what's Troy all about.
Right.
It was hard to get you to speak.
I know.
It was
kind of shy.
Like, why were you so reserved?
I was telling Zach when I went to work for K&N, or right before I went to work, I was still with the Heritage Financial, and they needed a color commentator for football, so I got in on that. That was that was fun. Yeah, Bill Seifert and I did that for probably 5 years. So yeah, I do it again.
Yeah, we kind of compared. You are the color commentator of the show.
Yeah, Zach leads you in, and you just fill in the gaps.
I definitely don't play by play.
I'm super. I'm
not
super judgmental now when I listen to play by play football.
Okay, now I have to ask you a question.
Okay,
what's your thoughts on Gus Johnson?
Who's Gus Johnson?
This is the black guy for Fox.
What did he do?
He does a lot of our Husker games.
He does a lot of Husker games. He's the really loud guy.
Oh yeah.
The Kenny Bell block taught. Oh my God, Kenny Bell.
I'm not a big fan. Vance likes him.
I like him. He doesn't like his energy.
I usually turn the TV down. So
I like his energy. I do.
What I don't like is anybody that does a Husker game, they're never for us.
Yeah.
Well, they're never for us. It doesn't matter who it is. They're never for us.
Yeah, that's the
problem. It's like they're kicking the dog when it's down. Come on, just give us a little bit,
Right.
Throw us a bone here.
That makes sense.
Gus Johnson. I'm going to have to go look him up.
You should.
I will.
Because
he really doesn't like him. I enjoy his energy.
I will literally mute the TV.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. I get to a point where like I said, they're just not supportive.
Well,
yeah. And
I get that.
Yeah.
So you probably weren't a big Brent Musburger fan.
Brent was okay.
Yeah. He was a big Nebraska hater.
Not terrible.
It's pretty good.
Like I said, I watch and then probably at this point look at my phone in between plays and I listen to them. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Next play.
That makes sense.
Next play.
Well, we really appreciate being on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's like you said, next spring.
Yeah.
The election rolls up and we'll come back and we'll really dig into the county and
we got to do something at the shop though.
Yeah. Let's do something there. Maybe the end of August or something. Let me get kind of my feet underneath me with everything open.
Yeah, get the whole thing. Yeah, get it all done. And
no, that'd be awesome.
Make sure that ice cream machine works.
Make sure that's working.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want a chocolate shake when I get there.
We gotta figure out how to go mobile. That thing's on.
Oh, we can do. Yeah, we can do. The whole thing's mobile.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
It's pretty simple.
Like I said, I got an eight seat high top in the back that we'll just take over.
We just throw it in totes and
yeah.
We brought the whole thing.
We'll give stuff away. I mean,
we won't have a big TV. There,
we should try. Well, I might have a TV on the wall we plug into.
We could do that.
We should do it live though, so we can give giveaways away.
We can easily do it live.
Do it live and do
100%.
giveaways. Yeah,
Facebook or whatever, YouTube, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We have all the capabilities.
Yeah, maybe we'll make them come in and guess on the candy corns or something.
That'd be fun. That'd be
The
fun.
Return of the Burger Boys.
The return of the
yeah. We got. Yeah.
We'll bring Todd. Yeah,
Bring
what the
Todd and
heck?
do the whole
We'll
thing.
do some history.
We got enough mics.
Oh yeah, yeah. All right.
Cool. Well,
Appreciate
thanks to
it.
my co-host Vance Neidig. Without him, the show would not be what it is. Huge thanks to Troy. We really appreciate making time to be here today.
Absolutely, I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Keep on the look for more great episodes, and we'll see you guys next week.